Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, everybody. Joe Dog here. We are getting ready to cover the Starship 6th flight, and I've got a special guest, our resident rocket scientist, Stephanie Osborne. Stephanie, thanks for dropping in with us.
Glad to do it. You know me. I'll watch these things every chance I get.
And of course, I'm real jealous of a mutual friend we have right now.
Yes, this is the truth.
I wished I could have got a hold of him. He's not returned any messages or email, or we would actually have a live from Texas guest in here, Les Johnson.
That would be cool. Knowing him, he probably is so busy he hasn't had time to respond to anything.
Probably.
So,
but yeah, they are fueling the rocket now. We're waiting for SpaceX to go live in about 4 minutes, but going over some of the stuff that, I've learned over the past. This is the 6th flight. It is SpaceX's 420th launch.
That's impressive.
In what, 15 years? Was that when they first reached orbit?
That's a good question. Let me.
But of course, you remember the thing. You were with me when they launched that first one, and it was a fiasco.
Yeah, kind of.
Since then they've added the hot stage ring.
Mm-hmm.
They had a BYU is down there with their group that does sound studies. And on the last mission, they actually were able to see the hot stage ring come in and splash down into the ocean. It created a sonic boom.
Yeah.
Wasn't much of one, but it was a hot stage ring. I mean, it was sonic boom. Of course, the booster created a sonic boom that, from what I've heard from Zach, our friend Zach, who's down there, it knocked people off their feet.
That would not surprise me. I'm actually incorporating a SpaceX launch, although I don't name it as such. Readers will know that's what it is into my current book. So,
okay.
Just for the fun, the one of the main characters is there expressly to watch the launch as part of her bucket list, and one of the other main characters simply lives there. So I can't find. SpaceX was founded in 2001. It was almost bankrupt when Falcon 1 successfully launched into orbit in 2008.
Okay.
So
it's 2007 to 2000. They had a couple of them ready to go.
Yeah. But I can't find when their first launch was. Okay, 2006 it made the first Falcon 1 launch. Okay, where'd that go? Which began successfully but ended prematurely because of a fuel leak and fire.
And you just froze up on me.
That's understating things a bit.
Yeah. You're freezing up a little. I guess
I missed
everybody
that.
you you froze up on me on all that. Uh, I guess everybody in Huntsville's tuning into the launch.
Would not be surprised, no. And I may have also overextended myself in the number of tabs I had open in my browser, so
Ah,
I just cut that back a lot.
okay. Well, that helped. Uh, but yeah, I don't know if you saw the video of the coming back through. You see this red glow around all the engines. You're thinking, have they already fired the engines? It was that hot.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it.
And this time
The-
they said it's going to come in steeper and faster.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
That's going to
I
leave
hope a
that.
mark.
You hope what?
You said that's going to leave, and I said a mark, and then I was
Yeah.
thinking, I hope not. But just so viewers know, I was out of pocket for most of the last week. I had a convention in Atlanta, and I was selling books there. And I only just managed to pick up my kitty cat from the border this morning. And so he's being very, very affectionate, and you may see him photobomb the proceedings. So just be aware. His
Right.
name is Gray. He's a little sweetie, and he's actually right over here, just off camera. So getting pets and scritches. Um, but no,
All right.
I what you got?
We do have fueling.
Okay.
And again, this is the largest rocket in the world, and it's going to take them 48 minutes to fuel.
That in itself is impressive. That's a tremendous amount of fuel, and that means it's going in there at speed.
Yeah.
So
And super cold.
yes,
And the one reason
those two usually don't combine well too. So
yeah,
that is doubly impressive.
yeah. Well, reason SpaceX does the super chilled is the fuel is denser, the oxygen is denser, the methane is denser,
Yeah,
meaning you get more of it.
yeah. It does. So that's one of the ways that they reduce the time it takes to tank.
Yeah.
For those of you who may not know my background, I worked in the space program for quite some time. If you count civilian and military, for a couple decades. And one of the things that I used to do was sit console for space shuttle missions. So I'm apt to use some of the techno babble uh, because it kind of got ingrained into my vocabulary, and that's automatically what I use now.
Well,
So
techno babble's cool because we love it.
yeah, copy that.
Oh, but yeah, this is wild. Reason they're most of the launches have been early in the morning. The
Mm-hmm.
reason they're launching this late in the day is where splashdown for the second stage is going to be in the Indian Ocean in daylight.
Oh yeah.
Uh, that was uh, our other show's host Dan messaging us, letting him know that letting us know that he knows we're here.
Okay.
I would, switch over to the view I'm watching right now. There is starting a frost line at the base of the methane tank on
Okay.
the ship. So fueling has begun
Excellent.
at 4:20 Eastern time.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
Elon likes 420.
yeah. What are some of the other things about this? Oh, yeah, something you're actually going to see is the plasma buildup around the ship on reentry.
I have seen video of that from the cockpit of the space shuttle, and that is from the inside looking out. That is extremely impressive, and frankly, a tad bit scary.
Yeah. Um,
So,
from the outside, it starts out as this pink glow around it, just a ever slight hint of pink glow, and then it gets bright. But of course, the way they
hmm
use this entry is going to be different. The last few entries, it scrubbed off speed and dropped. This time, it's going to come in like this and pretty much hold that angle all the way to a certain point and then roll into the belly flop and come down. It's going to,
okay.
a higher angle of attack is what they're calling it.
Who would poink?
Uh, that's that's my phone
No. Oh,
making
okay.
noise.
Notifications.
Yeah,
Okay.
let me get that away from the microphone a little. Now if I can remember where I left it later tonight.
I am trying to find
Wow.
what you see.
Uh,
I'm trying to find. Send me what you're seeing.
okay.
A link.
That is what I'm doing. I'll drop it over on the private side.
Okay.
You remember I told you I started to see a slight frost line.
Yes.
That frost line is nearly almost all right. They've started loading. There was oxygen they were loading first. Now they're loading the methane on the ship.
Yeah.
They've almost got a ring of oxygen that
Yeah.
fast.
I see. I see.
Yeah, what they're showing now is the methane.
It's interesting to watch it from the various vents.
Yeah.
This is going to be either really scary, impressive, or really scary, whoopsie daisy.
Yeah.
And I hope it's really scary, impressive.
Oh yeah. Even if it's oopsie daisy, it's going to be impressive.
Point.
And from what I've heard from people that were down there, they didn't feel the sonic boom until it was almost to the tower.
Well, that says that it took place way high up.
Yeah.
Um,
Now
I
here they are. See, now you can see the ring that is frosted in.
yes. Um, I'm
Sadly, we
also
can't show that because of copyright.
I'm also impressed with how they have beefed up the uh the launch pad from that first little blow it apart launch. That was the places chunks of that went. Oh my gosh! I mean, that was that was a very impressive rapid unscheduled disassembly. I'll put
Oh,
it
the
like
launch
that.
pad.
Yes, of the launch pad.
I don't know if you haven't seen views of it. There's a second tower being built
Okay.
right there beside it, and they're putting a flame trench into that one.
Okay, that would be good. Yeah. What in the Sam Hill is the cartoon on the side of the ship? It
Oh,
looks like a banana peel.
yeah. The there's been a joke running for, you know how Americans will measure anything but metric.
Yes. How many bananas tall is this
Yeah,
starship?
and
Okay.
the little character on it is, double twice the size, but it's holding an actual banana on it, and on the banana it says to scale.
So, did they establish how many bananas tall it was?
Well, yeah, if you look at it right now where it says, the S31, that's in the character's hand is an actual size banana.
Whole bunch of bananas tall. It is a pretty bird. As long as I worked for NASA, I would like to see SpaceX and NASA working together on stuff. I would like to see because there's plenty of room for both. You're never going to have very many investors willing to take on flat out exploration.
Let me do something here real quick on this. Let's go ahead and bring SpaceX on.
All right.
I'm glad I checked that.
I got a couple hundred of my best friends out here ready to watch this launch
right,
and
can you
hopefully
hear
another
that?
catch today.
Yes.
But welcome everybody back to
Little bit
Starbase
loud.
for another Starship launch. I'm Dan Hewitt. Got Launch Control Center right behind me. Tower just about 6 miles over that shoulder. It has been a pretty quiet countdown. Not a lot of chatter on the loops right now as we are into prop load.
Is
and
that
we are
better?
counting down to the very
That's much
top
better,
of our
yes.
window at 4
All right.
p.m.
I was
Central
having
Time.
trouble hearing you.
So just about 32
Okay.
minutes from now.
All right, so we're
Right now, the range is
32
projected
minutes
to be
from
clear
launch.
by then. We've got our
Mark.
assets out there making sure land, air, sea, everything around the launch pad and then our flight path are clear before we give the final go to lift
I'm
off
going to go
today.
ahead and pull that
We got
other
through the
one
weather
down
poll.
just so
Everything
it
was
doesn't
looking great. A little
distract me, so I
breezy
can
today,
stay
but
with
well
it.
within our constraints for both launch and catch criteria.
Oh,
and as you can tell, we're loading
look
propellant
at
onboard the vehicle. You can
that.
see those white
That is
frost lines
beautiful.
starting to tick up as they're
Yeah,
putting the
that's
cryogenic,
good
the
weather.
liquid methane,
If
and liquefaction
anything,
to both of those
if
vehicles.
SpaceX has
The ship prop
done
load started at about
anything
T-minus
to rocket
49 minutes,
launches,
and then the booster followed
their
just a couple
live
minutes after at
coverage
about T-minus
is
41.
just amazing.
We're almost
Their
halfway
It
full
is.
on
rocket
ship, just
camera
about a
view.
third on booster. Those are both going to
Can you
continue
pull him down just a
until
little
we're
bit more in
about
volume?
3 minutes, 20 seconds before liftoff on ship. And then the booster is going to close out at about 2 minutes and
Look.
50 seconds. So we pretty
Is
much
that
are
better?
loading up right
That's
to that
much
last
better, yeah.
possible minute, keeping it as dense and cold as possible, and then getting off.
I'm
I'm
sorry.
used,
The countdown
I've got it coming
startup
directly
sequence,
into my
everything will look
ears.
very
This is
familiar
the
if you
setup
watch
that I'm
Flight 5,
used to
assuming you
from
did.
working shuttle
But
missions.
you're going to see the engine
Okay.
start to ignite at about 3 seconds before
Well,
liftoff.
and I'm half
They're going to
deaf, so
start out in 3 different
that's not a
groups.
good
First, those
combination.
center
And I don't have
15,
headphones.
then 15 of that outer
Uh,
ring, and
let's
then those
just say
final
my
5,
headphones
bringing
got
all 33
huskified.
boosters online. After that,
Oh,
you'll see about
okay.
a second later, and then it'll lift off. So a couple seconds from first light until motion. As usual, we
So I'm
can
waiting
hold
on a
for
new
T-minus
headset
40
to
seconds if
arrive.
we have any last-minute issues to clear, anything with the range, anything that triggers on the vehicle. And if we pass T-minus 10 seconds, the
The
deflection
And
clouds
drone
will
floating
footage.
scrub,
along the
Would
ground.
NASA
and we're
ever
done for
run
the day
drone
for at least
footage like
24
this?
hours. But weather is
Um,
fantastic. Light breeze, no clouds in the sky.
I don't know.
Not tracking any hardware
I
constraints to
haven't
launch
been
today.
doing
If we're
it
not able to get
for
off the pad, though, we've got
a
an
few
opportunity
years, and
throughout
I'm
the
not
week.
sure
Could be 24 to
what their
48 hours
current
later. But everything
I'm
looking great.
kind of inclined
I'm
to
excited
say
be able to see
no,
another one of these get off the pad.
partly
Check back in with
because
everybody in just a couple of minutes. Back
Canaveral
over to
is
Jesse and
part
Kate.
of
Awesome. Thanks,
The Air
Dan.
Force Base.
Now you can
Center
see
is
those
part of
two
an Air
towers
Force
in the back there in the
base. Yes.
distance at Starbase.
Well,
Starbase is really coming along
SpaceX does
just
the
as
drones
rapidly as
for
Starship itself.
big
That second launch
launches.
tower will be coming online next year, and it will allow us to increase our flight cadence and test even more frequently. And just
I
a few
might have-
kilometers away from
I
the
might
two
have to
towers,
mute
our
that.
cutting-edge 1 million square foot Star Factory is nearing completion with the goal of producing hundreds of
1
ships
million
a year.
square
Yeah,
foot
That
Star
might sound
Factory.
crazy, and that's
Yeah.
because it is.
That's
If you can
impressive.
imagine a future where
Yeah,
we are
I think
flying
you
and
need to
catching a
run that.
fleet of boosters, which is the lower portion of the vehicle, that fleet is actually pretty small compared to the potentially hundreds of ships, the uppermost portion of Starship, that will be flying in that future vision.
Yeah, exactly, Kate. Those ships will be staying in space for long duration missions to go to the moon or Mars or become tankers for refueling or any number of other uses. But the boosters will come back and turn around to launch the next ship.
They were
So in order to hit that production cadence of
they were
hundreds per
talking
year,
about
we're rapidly building out Star Factory, which
the
is our
human
Starship production
landing
facility in
system,
Texas.
the
And live
HLS.
views, not live views, views of that Star Factory there.
NASA says,
Now,
yeah, we
this
just want you to
place
get it to the
allows
moon and
us
fly it
to move
around
system
and,
integration
you know,
work
deal
earlier
with it.
in the build process, which means more
SpaceX
efficiency,
says, why don't we
higher
land?
quality,
Well,
and
that's not part of our
ultimately faster
profile.
production.
We're already
Starbase
there.
is an incredible place to be right
We
now.
got to land
There
it a
really
couple
is
times
nowhere
before
else
you'll
in the
allow
world
us to
like
land
it.
it with
You know,
people.
hint, hint.
Why don't we
nudge,
just go ahead
nudge.
and land it?
Now, what you might be hinting at
They
is the
said
good news
NASA's
is
head
we
just sort
are
of
hiring. If
cocked
you
and
love what you're
twisted. They
seeing,
didn't know
check
what
out
to
our
say.
openings at Starbase.
Wing, wing,
On the
wing, wing,
engineering
wing,
side,
wing,
we're
wing.
looking for vehicle
Like,
design engineers across structures,
why
propulsion,
would we
and
do
integration.
that?
And if you're a hands-on tech, we're looking for integration
Well, the problem at
technicians
this
and
point
welders
is
that can
that
help us hit our
we
goal
are a
of
few
3
decades
Starship
out from the
every 8 hours.
1960s.
And to do that,
Yeah.
we need
And in the
builders.
Yeah, we're
1960s,
definitely going to need a
NASA
lot
was
of builders to
like
get that down
this.
to just 8 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Now, beyond that, in order to keep Starbase
It's
running,
gotten
we have all kinds of roles, from
bureaucracified.
baristas to HVAC technicians to EMTs. So chances are, if you're looking, we have a place for you. Visit spacex.com/careers
oh,
to
they're
see all of our
hiring.
openings.
Every role is
Yeah.
critical to the future of Starship. With Starbase growing faster than ever, we can't do it without you.
This place is where our future
Steph
is
is
being built,
tempted.
and that is a future
Oh,
that
Steph is
we are all
tempted.
very excited about. All right, let's dive deeper into the
You're not
inner
thinking
workings of Starship
unretiring,
and learn
are you?
more about this flying skyscraper.
From what?
Starship features 2 major parts. The
From
ship,
writing?
which
Going
has
to work-
6 Raptor
going to work
engines,
for
and the Super
SpaceX.
Heavy booster, which has 33 Raptor engines.
Well, I'm
But
already
just like
retired
flights
from
1
like
through 5, the current
NASA
iteration of
and
Starship
cor-
is
and,
an
government
experimental vehicle
contracting.
flying for development.
So
And with a
yeah,
few
I
planned
could
upgrades,
do
Starship
this.
will have 3 times the thrust of Saturn V at 10,000 metric tons of thrust, plus the added benefit of full
It's tempting.
reusability.
It is
Starship 2
sorely
will be
tempting.
capable of carrying more than 100 tons to orbit, and
10
Starship 3 will
They
be able
said
to lift
it's
more than
3
200
times
tons
more
to orbit.
powerful
Now, the
than the
amount
Saturn
of mass we're
V.
able to launch per rocket is crucial to
Yep.
creating a self-sustaining city on Mars.
Exactly. And speaking of launch mass, we should probably acknowledge the elephant, I mean, banana in the room, and our today's secret payload.
Okay, so 2 things here. The first
Oh,
is,
tell me.
remember on Flight 5, we had a giant Mechazilla
Surely not.
decal where the banana is today. And there you can see that on your screen. Now, that decal is 3 feet tall, which might be hard to tell looking at it on the ship right there, which is why we have a full-scale reproduction of that decal here with us so that you can see the size compared to humans.
Yeah, it is bigger than you think it is. Like Jesse said, it's 3 feet high, and this is full scale, just like the one that was on Flight 5. Now, it is hard to follow Mechazilla, but
Look at
I
their
do
shirts.
have one better. Bananas
Yeah.
have been used for quick visual comparisons for quite some time, and our teammates thought it was time to bring the venerated yellow fruit to Starship.
Today, we're flying Starship's first ever physical payload, which is, as you might have guessed, is a banana.
That's a live view inside Starship, and if you look closely, you can see
Oh.
our stuffed banana payload, which is doubling as today's zero gravity or zero G indicator. And while this payload will remain inside the vehicle at all times and will not be deployed today, it did give us a chance to do a test run of payload approval processes with the FAA. And that's something that we're hoping to do next year if we start flying our first Starlink satellites on Starship. Godspeed, Banana.
Some additional size for context, you can see on your screen a Starlink Mini next to a banana for scale. And to get an even better sense of how big Starship is, let's take the average size banana next to the average size human, which is about 2 meters high. Towering over our average human is the length of the Millennium Falcon, which comes in at 35 meters. Our Falcon 9 rocket with the payload fairing attached is double the size of the Millennium Falcon at 70 meters, and nearly twice the size of that is the fully integrated Starship at 121 meters tall. The ship
Oh
is
my
about
goodness
50
gracious.
meters, and the Super Heavy booster alone stands 71 meters tall. And we do have plans to make the ship and booster even taller in the future.
And yeah, it might be hard to imagine that because it's pretty big already.
I
Now,
love the
Starship's
geek
first stage
aspect of
diameter
this.
roughly 2.5 times
You
that
know?
of Falcon 9.
The
And
what?
as you can see on your screen, with
The geek
33
aspect.
much larger
yeah.
Raptor engines. I love this view.
I
of
put
looking
up
at the
one
aft
time
end
back
of
when I was
Starship
working the
there
program.
at the engine bay. Now, moving up the rocket, the ship features
I put
6
up a
Raptor engines, 3 sea levels, and 3
bumper
vacuum
sticker in
engines,
my
which
office.
are optimized to operate in the
And it
vacuum
read,
space.
I
The
am
ship is
Pentium
designed
of
for
Borg.
vertical takeoff and landing
Division
on
is
any hard
futile. You will
surface,
be
like the
approximated.
surface of the moon, for example.
And
This
nobody
ship
got
is
it.
also outfitted with 4 flaps to help aerodynamically control the vehicle's
I'm
attitude
sorry. I hope I
during
didn't hurt your
atmospheric
ear
flight
when I
and enable
busted
a
out
precision
laughing.
landing.
But
To reach full reusability, the ship must survive re-entry not just once, but multiple times.
that
It
is
took the teams at
brilliant.
SpaceX
You know
about
that?
3 years to develop the heat shield on Starship, and development for improvements is still ongoing. The ship's heat shield is composed of thousands of
Oh,
hexagonal ceramic tiles designed to insulate the vehicle during
I'm
atmospheric
so glad
entry,
we're
where
watching
temperatures
that and
can be
not
as
the
high as
other guys right
2,600
now.
degrees Fahrenheit or over 1,400 degrees Celsius.
Oh, I needed that
Time
laugh.
of
That makes me
testing, we
feel
iterate
better.
on every flight test as we cultivate the heat shield, requiring no refurbishment between flights to unlock rapid reuse.
Dave
The
McCombs.
teams
I'm
have
sure they
actually
will be able
already
to use a
run testing
wastewater guy
heat
once
shield
we
tunnels
start
in
getting people
environments
aboard
simulating
for
Mars
extended
atmospheric
flights.
entry conditions, which we'll
Yeah.
see more of in just a few minutes. You know, slightly different than coming back to Earth.
Actually,
Just
they could use a
slightly
wastewater
different.
guy right
And in
now
between the
on
first
the
and second stages is our hot stage, which we
uh,
saw in action on flights 2, 3, 4,
deflector
and
plate
5. So let's
for all the
recap
water
our
that
last
they.
flight to understand
Yeah.
what we accomplished and how that's changing
Everything they've
for
got down there
today's
because they're surrounded by
On October 13th, Starship
Wetlands.
successfully lifted off
yeah,
at
wetlands, and
7:25
it's
a.m. Central
um,
Time from Starbase, Texas.
it's
A gorgeous
federally
sunrise ascent
reserved
that
wetlands.
was fairly quickly
They've
followed
got to
by
be able
a hot
to
stage separation
keep
maneuver, which we
everything
see here, as well as on
clean
multiple previous Starship flights.
and
The
unaffecting the
booster then
wetlands.
performed a flip maneuver, boost back
See,
burn,
there's
and then we
the
jettisoned that
uh,
hot stage, which
hot
you see
stage
there.
jettison.
The booster then performed its boost back burn, which brought it back on a trajectory to the launch tower, back to the Gulf Coast.
And that's
We can see
without
here
engines
You
yet.
can see here the booster descending through the Earth's atmosphere. It broke the sound barrier again as it was coming back through. Those Raptor engines relit. And then the moment that made us all lose our minds,
All right,
the
sorry about that,
booster
everybody.
came back for a
I
successful
get these phone
first ever
calls
catch
constantly,
by the chopstick arms
and nobody's
back
saying
at the
anything.
exact same launch tower that
Yeah.
it launched from.
That
It
was the 8th one
insane.
today.
As you can see, we all went bananas.
agree.
And you did too, probably. Thousands of distinct vehicle and pad criteria had to be met, and thanks to the tireless work of the entire
Yeah, there's
Starship
the-
team, we succeeded on
yeah.
that first attempt.
And that's what it
while
looks
that
like
all
from
was
inside,
happening, ship was
what it looks
continuing to
like from
coast
inside the
towards
shuttle
Indian
cabin too.
Ocean. It executed an excellent coast, made its way down through re-entry, relit its engines, did that flip maneuver, relit its engines for landing burn, and then splashed down into the Indian Ocean. Now that whole flight test concluded that splashdown 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds after launch.
So do they
Starship's
recover
fifth
that?
flight test was one of our
No,
most
it-
ambitious yet, and as we work to
Okay.
demonstrate techniques fundamental
It
to
seems
Starship
Exploded
and
when it
Super
fell
Heavy's
over,
fully and rapidly reusable design.
And I
but
think I speak for all of us when I
some
say that seeing the catch for
creative
the first time was an
people with
extraordinary moment for
video
the entire
editing
SpaceX
equipment
team. We've seen a lot of
The
wild firsts here, but
explosion
that was truly an epic moment in
occurred
time.
at the
Yeah,
FTS
we're not
site.
predicting that anytime soon. Certainly
Okay.
one of the history books. Now, today's mission profile is very similar to
basically
Flight 5, but there are some differences.
Put
that we've made
all
that
that
we've incorporated
technology at
as
the
we
bottom of the
prepare for
ocean.
future reuse.
At
About
the bottom of
20
the
minutes from
Indian
now,
Ocean.
Super Heavy will ignite its 33 Raptor
Yeah.
engines and lift off from Starbase. About 2.5 minutes into flight, the booster
So,
will
you know, that's,
separate from the ship in a hot stage separation, and we've seen that occur on multiple flights, including flight 2, 3, 4, and 5. About 2 seconds after that burns, we'll jettison that hot stage. The booster will perform its flip and boost back maneuver. And we will once again look to return the booster to the launch site for a catch by the tower's chopstick
Oh, I
arms.
hope it works
And once
well.
again, we will only attempt that if both the booster and tower are
Now-
healthy after launch. We were successful last time, but we should emphasize that this process is still very new.
There,
And this is still just a test, so success
The
is very far from guaranteed
return to
today.
launch
There's always
site
a
is a
possibility that
physical
we'll lose the
button that
vehicle.
has
It's
to
a
be
contingency
pushed
that
by
we'll
the
always plan
launch
for.
director.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while
It
the
would
booster's
be
doing
because
its
if
job,
there's
the ship's
anything
6
that
engines
is
will remain lit for a
off
few minutes before
nominal,
shutting
you don't
down
want it
and then going
returning
into
to
the
the launch
coast phase.
site to
The
blow
ship
up
will coast
over it.
for
No,
a total of
no.
about 40 minutes or so,
He has
reaching a
to
peak
push the
altitude of
button to
approximately
return it.
213 kilometers. Now, one additional
Yeah,
objective
that's what
of
I
this
mean,
flight
because-
during
Otherwise,
is
it
an
will come in
in-space
and
burn
do an
using
ocean
one of the
landing.
ship's Raptor engines.
Yeah.
Doing a burn while in space will build confidence that we can do deorbit burns,
All that
which is a key
decision
capability
is
for
made
upcoming orbital missions.
before
Now, after the coast phase,
hot
the ship will
staging.
attempt a controlled reentry, and if ship makes it all the way down, will once again perform a flip and landing burn before splashing down in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. Now, there are some notable changes to our entry plans for this flight, and they will intentionally push the ship to and very likely beyond its limits. This includes several thermal protection upgrades and operational changes as we prepare for future ship catch and
Yeah,
reuse.
and it's
Today's
going to
flight
be a
test will
case
also
of
test new
how far can
secondary
we push
thermal
it before
protection
the thing
materials,
burns up.
and entire sections
Yeah.
of the heat shield
And Todd,
has
we were
actually been
talking
removed
about
in
the
certain
actual
areas.
booster
And
return.
on top of all that,
Yeah,
we're
they're
going
not
to fly the ship
going to
at an
do
aggressive
a
angle of attack
ship
once
catch
it's moving
until
slower than the speed of sound.
probably late
Now,
this
this means
time
we'll
next
be flying
year
nose
at the
down
earliest.
instead of our usual belly flop orientation during final descent. This will no doubt stress the limits
Because
of the
one, they've
possibility
got
to
to get
maintain
orbital.
control, but it will
They
be
don't
a
have
chance to
approval
get
for
real flight
orbital
data on
yet.
what our limits actually are.
And if
So,
they
to put
do
it
go
as
orbital,
bluntly
it's
as
going to have to
possible,
make
do not
2
be
or 3
surprised if
laps.
this is not a smooth flight to splashdown today.
Because
We
they've
are
got to get the booster
intentionally looking
down.
for how far we can
On a
push and discover
yeah.
the vehicle's true limits as we
They
plan
got to
for
get the
future
booster
ship
down
return
off the
and catch.
chopsticks
And even though ship
and
recovery
out
is
of the
not
way
expected
before
today,
the
the
ship
telemetry
comes
and
in.
data we receive all the way to the end is what we're looking for and what will help us get to a rapidly reusable Starship of the future.
You know what I
like
Now,
like
just like Flight
Okay.
5, one of our
is how
objectives
much
for
the
Flight 6
nose
is
of
attempting
the
to
Starship
return the
now
vehicle
reminds
to the launch
me
site
of the
to be
nose of the
caught by the
shuttle.
tower. The booster for
Say
this
that
flight has
again.
upgrades to add redundancy across
With the
its
carbon
propulsion
heat
system,
shielding on there,
increase the structural
Yeah.
how much
as
the
well as
nose of the
increasing
Starship
structural
now
strength
reminds
in
me
a
of the
few
nose of the
spots.
shuttle.
We've also
It's kind of a
implemented
little
few
warm
changes
fuzzy
across
in my
both
heart
ship
Yeah.
some places.
and tower to try and speed
That
up
will-
Yeah,
the
or finish
post-catch
pad B.
timeline.
Yes, it could very well
Returning
be.
vehicles to the launch
Yeah,
site
or
leverages
finish
the same
pad B.
hardware that we use for stacking ahead of flight, making our infrastructure multi-purpose. And in order for us to achieve that rapid reusability that we keep
I
talking
wish y'all
about,
could see my
we
cat
need a
over here.
quick
He's just
turnaround.
absolutely
And you can't get much faster than
just
returning
stretched
the
out.
launch vehicle right back there to
Yeah,
where
and
it
you
wants
push
to launch
something.
from again.
I want to ask
Exactly.
Todd a question real
In
quick.
this
Where,
video, you can see our original render of
Okay.
booster catch alongside the actual footage of catch
All
from
right.
Flight 5.
Where are
This
you
video
watching,
is just
tuning in from,
mind-blowing
Todd? I
to see
appreciate knowing
the
that.
predicted versus reality. And just like the last flight for today's booster catch, there are thousands of criteria that need to be met in order to proceed with catch. Automated checks have to indicate we have a healthy booster and a healthy tower, and the flight director must issue a manual command, which is informed by manual checks from the flight control team. If this command is not sent prior to the completion of the boost back burn,
They did a
or
really
if
good
automated
job with
health
the
checks show
animation.
unacceptable conditions with Super Heavy or the tower, the booster will default to a trajectory that takes it to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, wow.
I remember when we first heard the call out that Tower was go for catch on Flight
Nice.
5. And wow, I still get
Oh,
goosebumps
okay.
when I think about that moment.
He's from Dallas,
For today's
Texas,
test, just like Flight
Oh.
5,
and he's
we're only
the
going
current
to catch
con
if
chair for
everything on the
FinCon.
booster and the
And
tower
I've-
checks out after
Okay.
launch. As
Yeah,
always,
and I've been
we
to
accept
FinCon,
no
so yeah.
compromises when it comes to the safety
Okay.
of the public and our team. And so to that end, the
I knew
area
that name
around
was
the pad
familiar.
and the flight
Yeah.
path are cleared
And
in
Todd,
advance.
I am the
A lot of things have
current
to go
con
right in
chair
order to
for
line up the booster
a
catch.
convention
So if
up
all criteria
in
is
the
met, we will attempt
around
the
the
catch,
Chattanooga
but
area called
there is a chance that we may
Helocon.
not. Either way, we'll be getting
Oh,
tons of info
con
data,
chairs
which is
unite.
extremely valuable.
Exactly. That first catch was
I'm a con
pretty epic,
guest. I'm
though.
good.
So, like you, we'll be keeping our hopes
I have
high to
fun with
see
it.
another one this afternoon. Now, Dan, you got to see it in person last time. Are you mentally prepared for a possible round 2?
I mean, probably not. That was pretty hands down the coolest thing I've ever seen. And the fact that we're going to do that every time now breaks my brain a little bit. But it
Coming
was
on
absolutely
14 minutes
incredible.
and 30 seconds.
One of the unique aspects with Super Heavy coming back is it does generate a sonic boom. This is something commonly associated with reusable spacecraft.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Well,
it's coming
come
in
up and
faster than
introduce
the speed of
yourself this
sound
year
and
to me
slowing
at
down, creates
LibertyCon.
that pressure wave that builds up, and then when it reaches you on the ground, that rapid change in pressure is that quick thunderclap sound that you hear. Now, generally, the only effect is that thunderclap sound, but if you're not expecting it, it's definitely going to get your attention, and we were able to hear it last time. The impact of, or how loud it is, changes pretty dramatically. And in this video, you can see as we were descending, and there was kind of that quick triple pop that you heard. Now, that was picked up from closer to the pad. Most people at our distance and further away, you're only going to hear one or two as they're happening kind of so on top of each other that it might just sound like one big bang. But as I said, that's something that's only associated with spacecraft being reused. We hear it with Falcon 9. We heard it during Shuttle, and looking forward to hopefully hearing it today. Just a quick status check, though. We're about 85% full on ship, almost 2/3 of the way full on booster, continuing to count down about 13 and a half minutes, a little under that, until we lift off today.
That's
But
about
still
half
looking
of
good. I'll check
LibertyCon.
back in with you guys in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Back over to Jesse and Kate.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I think Dan said it really well when it really does hurt the brain to think that this is going to be the norm, that this is just the beginning.
I mean, look
Every
how
one of
full
these
they've
flights is a
already
step
got the
closer
rocket
to
in
a
that
fully
this short amount of
operational
time
Starship
we've
that
been
will take
talking.
us beyond Earth orbit. And with our pace of rapid iteration here, the Moon and Mars are not nearly as far in the future as you may think. In fact, we're planning to send Starships to Mars.
I'm
as
glad
soon
they've
as
moved the T
2026.
clock up to the
Which is
upper
when
left
the next
corner.
Mars transfer window opens,
Yeah.
which is under 2 years from now. Now, you might be
Hang
familiar
on, I've
with the
got to plug
Starlink
in my,
logo, which you see there on your
my
screen.
laptop.
It's an iconic representation of the Mars transfer orbit,
There we
also
go.
called the home and transfer orbit. This transfer window, or the time between the time when Earth and Mars are closest to each other, opens every 26 months and is only open for about 2 to 3 months at a time for a vehicle with Starship's power.
Lining up a launch to Mars is similar
Yes,
to
sir.
how
It
we
absolutely
launched
is
to the
an
International
impressive
Space
set of
Station, where we
pumps.
timed the launches to match the station's orbit.
Oh,
If we
well,
didn't do
we've
this,
got some
we
here
would
at
need
Marshall
more propellant and more time
that are
to get
designed
there.
for engine tests.
So the first opportunity we have
And
to fly
those are run
Starships to
by
Mars, we
multiple,
plan to go for it. These first
um,
flight tests to Mars will be uncrewed and will test the
semi-truck
reliability of
diesel
landing
engines.
intact. If those
Yeah.
landings go well, the first crewed flights will
Those
soon
things,
follow after that.
those things
Right
pump
now,
at an
our flight
amazing
tests
rate.
are focused on proving out
They
reusability
scream.
of both Super Heavy and Starship. In 2025, we'll continue that
Yeah.
focus while also potentially flying our first Starlink missions and demonstrate
They got some that
capabilities
pump the
central
fuel,
to
and they
our
got some
role
that
in
pump the
taking
water
astronauts to the moon as
in
part
the
of NASA's Artemis program.
suppression
Starship will be
system.
used to land
Yeah.
astronauts on the lunar surface
Uh,
on NASA's
Oh,
the
that's
Raptor
pretty.
mission, which
Yeah.
will
That's
put
that's
the first
pretty.
humans on the moon
Artist
since
concept, yes,
1972.
but that's pretty.
One key capability will be the ability to refuel Starship on orbit, which you can see there on your screen.
Okay, John
with a
Glenn has
Starship
joined
prop
us.
tanker docked with a fuel depot.
Not
Hey,
that
Next year,
John,
we're
how are
planning
you
to
doing?
test this capability,
If you don't mind,
capability
tell
by
us where you're
launching 2
tuned
Starships
in
and
from.
having them meet
Love
up
to
to
know.
transfer tons of cryogenic propellants. And when the time comes to land on the moon, Starship will link up with NASA's Orion spacecraft in lunar orbit, where astronauts will transfer over for their descent. Now, once on the lunar surface, they'll ride the elevator down in their Axiom EMU spacesuits from Axiom Space and leave the first footprints on the moon in more than half a century, kickstarting humanity's mission to establish a sustainable presence there. And coming soon to a moon base alpha near you, Starship Enterprise Edition.
That is so exciting, and all the advancements that are going to come in order to enable all of that. Now, our rapid
I
iterative
just
development
geeked out.
approach has been the basis
I
for
did
all
too.
of SpaceX's major innovative advancements, including Falcon, Dragon,
Yeah,
and Starship.
absolutely.
Today, we're testing
Get
hardware
attention.
and systems, and
There will
we
be
need
no
to know
complaints.
how they perform under the most extreme conditions.
Oh my
And what's more
goodness.
extreme than the
Oh,
flight
I just had
environment?
goosebumps all
We'd
over,
much rather
guys.
find the bugs and limits now during testing
What'd
than
you say,
later on
Stephanie?
once
I
we're
was-
on the line.
I just
to
had
reiterate,
goosebumps all
While
over.
we do determine
Oh, Moon Base Alpha or
acceptable
Starship?
an acceptable
Starship
level of
Starship
difficulty
Enterprise.
on our vehicle and pad to learn as fast as possible, we
Oh,
accept
New
no
Orleans.
compromises
Okay.
when it comes to the safety of the public or our team. So all that to say, this is only the 6th of many future flight tests of Starship before it becomes fully operational.
And we tend to do our testing out in the open.
Eat some
just like
crawfish
today.
for me
And
tonight.
that means people sometimes see when our hardware doesn't perform as we planned during that testing. And that's okay, because this is exactly what we are testing for, to physically see if hardware performance matches what we expect it to do or not. Even more with today's test flight, where we're purposefully pushing the ship beyond its limits.
Oh, I didn't mean to
Starship
do that.
development is also being aided by Starlink space-based connectivity. You might remember the Starlink panels that are incorporated into Starship, and you can see them there on your screen, those rectangular panels on Starship's nose cone. Starlink brings us the epic views in space and on re-entry,
Shoot,
and also helps deliver
this
us
one works.
critical flight data engineers
Yeah,
need
that
to
one works.
continue development.
Yeah, Starlink continues to help us push the limits in space in the short term by providing great views and real-time data on our next few flights,
All right, I can
particularly
actually hear
through
now.
re-entry, which
Okay.
spaceflight veterans know that is historically a period of blackout for all communications within spaceflight.
Outside of Starship, Starlink has helped people across the globe, particularly in rural and remote areas that have been underserved by traditional broadband internet.
Yeah, and soon Starship will deploy our next generation Starlink satellites, which will continue to increase our capability to connect even more people with high-speed internet all
Now,
around the world.
This is
and
a
beyond.
view I could look at for a very long time.
Now, as we continue to
Looking out
prepare
past
for
the
our
nose
next
at
several
the
flight
surf.
tests, we recently performed
Yeah.
a cryo-proof test of the Starship for Flight 7, our first operation with the vehicle debuting a number of major milestones.
That works, John. Thank
The
you.
ship has been
Mm.
stretched to make room for larger propellant tanks, increasing the propellant capacity from 1,200 tons to 1,500 tons. The forward flaps also got a redesign. They have shrunk in size and they also shifted in location. And both of these things will help better protect them during entry heating while still providing control. There's also a wide range of upgrades that will make the vehicle more reliable, adding redundancy to and the ability to operate for longer durations in space.
That's the
One
version
unique
too.
aspect of a trip to Mars are the different conditions ship will see when entering the Martian atmosphere. Now, it's difficult to simulate Mars's atmosphere when re-entering on Earth, so we've been testing a variety of heat shield materials inside a specialized plasma jet chamber at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where we're able to more closely simulate Mars's 95% carbon dioxide atmosphere.
Aside from looking awesome, this is important testing. The intense heat of entry will cause the CO2 to break down into its base elements, exposing Starship to atomic oxygen, which increases surface heating and can cause materials to oxidize or start to break down. Spacecraft entering over Mars encountered more than twice the amount of atomic oxygen at their peak when compared to Earth, and that is certainly a unique challenge. As we continue to test, we'll learn more about what makes a great heat shield for Mars. All right, now that we're heading into the final minutes of the countdown, let's go back to Dan for the latest on the ground there at Starbase.
Yeah,
Hey,
Todd,
Kate,
that is
afraid I have
the
nothing but good news for you.
header
We have
vent.
a go from our range safety team. We are a little over 90% full on ship, almost 85% full on booster, and not tracking any holds to an on-time liftoff. So we've got about 3 more minutes of prop load. As long as the range stays clear, we don't trip any other holds. We might blow right past that T-minus 40-second mark and lift off right at the top of our window at 4 p.m. Central. So toss it back to you guys one more time. But fun part about
This
the start,
sounds
we
like it's
are,
going
what, a
beautifully.
little under 6 minutes away from launch.
All right, so we are continuing to progress now at 5 minutes and 43 seconds until liftoff. Now, once we pass the T-minus
There's an
40-second
impressive
mark,
view.
a number of events are going to occur in rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure, and the ship will go on to internal power.
And then after that, the quick disconnect, or what we call the QD arm lockout, is removed in preparation for retraction shortly after T0. And once we pass the T-minus 40-second mark, we still have the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions back to T-minus 40 seconds, and then hold there to assess what happened and if we can proceed again to T0.
Exactly. However, once the water for the
5
deflector
minutes.
system begins flowing at T-minus 10 seconds, any issue after that would be an automatic
Mark.
scrub for the day, as the teams would need to refill the deflector's water tanks as well as the propellant storage tanks over at the tank
Todd,
farm
that was
before we're
Padre
able to
Island
make another attempt.
that you could see in the
Now,
background
it
with
is
the big
just so unbelievable
tall
that
towers.
It's just been only a
the big
little
tall
over a
one
month,
is
and we are just a few minutes away from Flight
Margaritaville.
6.
Yeah,
The crowd
of course.
here is building up. We've got a much larger crowd here than when we were launching at 4 or 5 in the morning out here. So very exciting to have an afternoon launch, to have all the employees here.
Exactly. Now, just as a reminder, that T-minus 40-second hold, if we opt to use it, everything is still potentially go for launch. So nothing to be worried about there. At that point, basically, up
built-in
until
hold.
T-minus 40 seconds, all aborts are just holds. This would allow the team to wait for final checkouts to assess propellant levels, engines, avionics, vehicle pressurization, range, weather. Occasionally, we've had shrimp boats lingering in the past, but that doesn't sound like that is the case today.
Yeah, not today. No shrimp boats, which is great. Everything.
Occasionally,
so far is
we've had
looking
shrimp
good.
boats lingering in the
We're getting really
past.
excited here. Just a few minutes.
I bet
away.
after
We're gonna go back, send
the
it over
first
to Dan from
Starship
Starbase.
launch
How's it
took
going,
out
Dan?
the launch pad,
It
I bet
is
they
still
stopped doing that.
going great. Just coming up on about 3.5 minutes away, so we should be done with our prop load.
Yeah,
on the ship
we talked
momentarily.
about that
And
earlier,
about 30
Dan.
seconds later, we'll close out on
We're
booster.
both jealous.
Our
Yeah.
flight control team on board, or in
And
the
our friend
building
Zach
just
is
behind
down
me.
there
Not on
too,
board. Some of them
Stephanie.
might wish they were aboard.
Oh,
Flight
really?
control
That's
team in
cool.
the building
Yep.
behind me. They're going to have a lot of work to do right after we lift off, as we still have a lot of manual checks that happen.
Of course,
on
he's
the
not been
tower
down there since
prior
the
to
pad
the flight director, who's gonna be
disintegrated. So
Tristan Pierce again today.
if there's any
giving him
issues with the
manual
pad,
command
he's
to
not
bring the
allowed to go
booster
back
back
to
to the
Starship
launch site.
launches.
Yeah,
And
really.
the tower did just incredibly well on the last flight. We didn't lose any of our required redundancy for
What
a
a
catch.
view!
So we're hoping to see that again
Oh,
today.
wow.
A lot of the team, really putting armor on the tower, making all of those things work, played a huge role in making that catch possible. And looking forward
And
to
the
hopefully seeing that
payload.
happen
And the
again.
I
banana.
love it.
And of
I
course,
love
our
it.
first payload to
Payload
space.
banana.
You can see the banana. It's very tightly secured, but I assure you it does have some room to float around. So once we're in a zero
Yeah, I can
gravity
see it
environment,
just
we should
gradually
see
just
our first Starship zero
oscillating a
gravity
little bit.
indicator putting on a
It's,
little
it's
bit
not
of
a
a show.
real banana. It's
And
a
that's
stuffed
looking right
banana.
in. That's where we're going to
Yeah,
have
it's a stuffed
Starlink. It's
banana.
our PEZ
Yeah.
deployer.
Because you couldn't
So
get
getting its ride
you
to
couldn't
space.
get
So
a real
coming up on about 2.5
banana
minutes, we are
through the
closing out
approval
on all of our prop
process
load.
before it would rot.
Yep, just heard
Yeah.
that our fill drains are starting to close, so that means we're no longer going to be flowing propellant into the booster and the ship. We're going to do what's called pushbacks. So all of that propellant in the ground systems is going to get pushed back to the tanks, clear out everything around the pad right before we light those
Because that
33
becomes
engines
an
and take off.
explosion hazard.
We're at under
Just
2 minutes.
Quick reminder, you're going to see fire start at the bottom. You're going to see the deflector start at about 10 seconds before launch. Lots of water to help dissipate all that heat, all that sound.
I feel the
And
adrenaline
the
surge
engine's starting
starting.
up in 3 different
Yeah.
groups. And then about a second after T0, we should see liftoff. About 2.5 minutes into the
I will
flight, a little
never
bit longer, we'll see hot
Not
staging.
love this.
And that's when we're going to be listening really close on those loops.
It's
to
such
see
a
if we're gonna be
view.
bringing the booster back for a catch.
It is.
Do
But I
always
mean,
wanna
just
caution,
for me, it's
never a guarantee.
yeah,
getting this
John, I was
once.
going to say something
see
about
if
that
we give-
earlier
we do
when
it
they said it
again,
was
we're
stuffed.
only
I
gonna
bet
do
it's
it
banana
if the
pudding by the
booster
time it gets
and the
back.
tower are looking really good before we attempt to bring it back here. But
Most of my
coming up
shuttle
on a
missions,
minute,
I
not
was on
tracking
console for
any
launch,
holds on
Yeah.
the board
and
right now.
that's an
So as long
adrenaline
as
surge
we
like
don't have
nothing
any
else,
last
and I
second
wasn't even
things,
on
which do
board.
happen.
So
All right, flight director just confirmed T minus 1 minute. Key
And
moment to look at in 10 seconds, that T minus 40.
go for launch.
And we flew right through that.
And everybody knows it.
Yep.
Flight directors go for launch.
All right, we're now T minus 20
That
seconds
means
until liftoff
that means
of
the
Starship
whole
Flight
team
6.
just went
This
Yeah.
will mark
through the
our
go-no-go
second
call.
Yeah.
attempt to
In
catch
Hawthorne, the
Super
entire
Heavy
factory
booster
shuts down
at
for
the
launch.
tower, as
T
well
minus
as
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Go baby go. Go baby go.
Detect liftoff.
Go, baby, go. Well, I didn't see anything flying up from launch.
No.
That's a good.
Oh, we got blue diamonds. We got blue diamonds.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
All engines running.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Booster Raptor, chamber pressure nominal.
Look at that roll.
Yeah, that's everything is nominal.
Booster and ship, avionics, power, and telemetry nominal.
Now that's a view right there.
Mm-hmm.
How about let's pull us?
And we just tripped 1,000 kilometers per hour.
All right. I'm gonna try to pull us down, but
Okay.
go ahead and
We're
click your
just a little
stop
over a
cam,
minute into
Maximum
flight.
dynamic
We're
pressure.
about
and that way we
6
can
miles
bring it
away,
to
so
full
all the
screen
sound's
for
still hitting us
everybody.
here. Hearing good call outs that power telemetry nominal. That's flying straight and true. We do see all 33 Raptor engines lit up on telemetry screens.
And you can hear the crackle.
At this point, we've passed through that point of maximum aerodynamic pressure, that max Q. Now, coming up in just a little over a minute from now,
We weren't allowed to
is
yell
going to be
like that
hot
in the
staging.
control center.
So we're going to see the 6 engines on the ship ignite while still attached to the booster. Just before that, we'll see all but 3 center engines on the booster shut down. And what we call MECO, it's most engines cut off instead of main engine.
Yeah, they don't completely cut the engines. They keep a good
So
thrust
while we
to keep
continue to
fuel
watch it go up, a
down
lot
to
of our
the
flight controllers looking at all
bottom
the
of the
systems
tanks
around
in
the
the ship.
tower. Again, we have to
Right.
send a manual command.
There were times I
about
would have
30
given a chunk of
seconds
change
away
to be
from
able to
hot
yell like
staging.
that on console.
Well, that's the actual factory yelling. Console ain't doing that.
And we heard the tower is go for catch.
Booster engine cutoff.
The return flag is set for true.
Yes!
Stage separation.
All right, hot staging confirmed.
Booster
6
boost
out of
back
6
startup.
lit on the ship. Booster boost back going. We heard that we are go for catch. Kate, Jesse, take it the views. Hopefully I got
Look
a
how
booster
high they got on that.
coming home real soon.
Yeah.
Wow, from our view here, Dan, great views
82
of planet Earth
kilometers.
behind that super heavy booster.
All right,
now
I'm
is
coming back.
performing the
Ship
boost
chamber
back
pressure
burn.
nominal.
Okay.
Good news there, telling us that the pressures inside the ship are good. That is the second stage or the upper portion of the vehicle. Follow along with the telemetry on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, booster is currently, super heavy is currently in its boost back burn. This boost back
Ship
burn,
avionics, power, telemetry nominal.
this boost back burn lasts just a little bit over a minute. So we've got a little, approximately 30 seconds left.
We've had shutdown of that boost back burn. Up next will be hot stage jettison. The view from the camera on the left, or from the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, and then tracking cam there on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll see those grid fins.
Booster offshore divert.
And we can also see that the hot stage has been jettisoned.
Yes, visual confirmation of that there on your screen, which is great. Now the next
Starship is following a nominal trajectory.
The next step for booster is going into that landing burn. Again, it'll light up 13 of those engines and then pare down to 3
When we
engines
get close,
right before
we need
booster
to
catch.
drop
now,
our
just real
cameras
quick,
so
we
it
did
can
hear
go
the
to full
call out,
screen.
Yep.
Booster offshore divert. Unfortunately, that means that we are no-go for the catch. As
Aw.
we said before, both the tower
So I
and the
was afraid of
vehicle,
that.
as well as the operators on console, have been actively evaluating the commit criteria for that return to the launch tower. And unfortunately, we did not have a pass on those commit criteria. So we are no-go for tower catch.
And we did
Correct.
mention that we're constantly evaluating the criteria for catch. There's a lot of things that need to go well in order to line that up. Unfortunately, today we will forego booster catch today. But what you're seeing on your screen is ship
So there is not an
currently
attempt to
making
catch
its
on the
way
tower.
towards
So
the
there's
Indian
still
Ocean. So
100%
looking good
accurate on
so
tower
far.
catches.
Exactly. So views there of the booster on the left-hand side of your screen, views of the ship on the right.
That's disappointing, but I had a feeling when I
we
heard
said
that call
before
that
it
Yeah.
was not guaranteed that we would be able to make a tower catch today. So while we were hoping for it, like we said, it was pretty epic on attempt 1, but the safety of the teams and the public and the pad itself are paramount. So we are
a miss
accepting
on
no
that would be
compromises
bad.
in any of those areas.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And we're still going to get a lot of good flight data
I have a
with booster
tendency for
even, but
understatement
especially with
after
ship.
so
Again,
many
we have an
years
additional
working the
objective
program.
today to do an in-space relight of a Raptor engine, which again will help
They're
us
still
set
going to
us
do
up
a
for,
landing
being
attempt.
able to do deorbit burns, which is
Ship chamber pressure is nominal.
which is important for orbital
Have they
flight.
got
And
one
what
of
you're
the
seeing
landing
on
the
your screen
landing
is a view
barges
from
out there?
super heavy
Yeah.
as it's making its
No,
way
there's
back
no
down to Earth.
barge for this
Yeah,
thing.
once again, we are attempting an
okay.
offshore landing of the Super Heavy booster. So we have seen this before, and it is still very fun to watch, watching it come down for a soft splashdown off the Gulf Coast of Texas. We can see it there re-entering.
Chill.
We saw earlier those grid fins. There are 4 hypersonic grid fins. Or we can see that the landing burn has begun on the Super Heavy booster.
And same pattern, 13 engines will light, gone down to 3, just as we expected. And what an incredible view of splashdown that we got today of
Did you land
Super
Chica?
Heavy.
Yeah, I'm sure the buoy cam views will be
There
pretty
you go.
awesome once again. So we'd like to confirm a water landing.
Neither
once
one of
again
us brought
for
our
the Super
brought our
Heavy
cameras down.
Booster.
Yeah, well,
Congrats to the
for
SpaceX team for
Well,
making
water
that
landing, we're-
milestone
Yeah.
as well. Now, ship continues to look good. We can see that it is, while all of that was happening, the crowd here in Hawthorne continuing to react to all these amazing views that we're getting. The next milestone
This
is
we're looking at
Terminal guidance.
great news
is
there.
what I used to call eye candy
Starship terminal
when I was
guidance,
sitting at the
referring to what we
console.
see here on our
Oh,
screen,
yeah.
the upper stage, at about 8 minutes 35 seconds or so, we have ship engine cutoff, which will be the cutoff.
Oh, now
of
that's a
the,
new camera
the-
view.
The Raptor engines.
Yeah, it is.
We can see on our screen ship giving us some incredible views brought to us by Starlink. This view is also very interesting because we can see basically the receding tile line that we referred to earlier, where we mentioned we have removed a number of heat shield tiles in order to test out and push the envelope on the ship and demonstrate what its capabilities are.
Ship engine cutoff.
And there we just heard call out for SECO, ship engine cutoff. Great news there. Everything continuing to look awesome.
27,000 kilometers
Overview looking
is
aft on ship here.
orbital speed. Look where they shut it down at.
Ship
Yeah.
SAS is saved. Nominal orbit
which is pretty
insertion.
impressive.
There's that call out we were waiting for. Confirmation of good orbital insertion for ship today.
It has been a very exciting afternoon so far. We'd like to send it back over to Dan, who can give us that live view experience. Dan, once again, are you okay after witnessing another Starship launch?
Yeah, totally fine. It's you guys have to be jealous. This is the only way to do this. This is fantastic. No, it was really cool to see a lift off 33 out of 33. Didn't go for the booster catch today. Initially, we were good, and then we tripped a commit criteria and did the offshore divert. So we went and
be
did that
willing to
water
bet
landing,
you it's
as
the
everybody
wind.
saw. We'll dig into it a
Probably.
little bit more. But
Because
again,
I was
this
noticing
is,
that
we've done it once, we've now
before the
done it
launch.
twice. We're going to keep trying to do it. As
Dave,
this is just a core
neither will
capability of
me or
Starship
Stephanie.
and
I
what's going to make
promise
it
you
so
that.
incredible. There's a lot left. We're just about
And
almost
and
10
I
minutes
have
into
done
this
it
flight.
live
50 plus minutes
on
still to go.
console
Ship
and
nominal
live
orbit, so it's on its way around the
in
planet.
person,
It's going to attempt
and
to
it never
do an
gets old.
in-space burn. We're
And I
going to
don't
light
think it
one
ever
of
will.
those Raptor engines, the sea level ones in the middle, just to help demonstrate that we can relight in that microgravity environment. Really critical for deorbit burns as we start to do some orbital missions in the not too distant future. And then following that, we'll see a ship entry, maybe a splashdown. As you guys said,
There goes
we're
something
floating
really
on.
going to be
Eyes.
pushing ship on this one.
Probably, yeah.
We're pretty much intentionally putting it in places where we
And
expect it
there's
might not be so great.
no
And all
hydraulics
that
on
to try
this.
and help us learn,
Everything
see
is
if we're a little
electric
too
vector.
conservative, and then maybe that opens up more capability for when we start catching them. But I'll check back in with everybody in a little bit. I'm going to tune in and watch the ship fly around planet Earth, and hopefully we see it re-entering in the not too distant future. Back over to you guys.
Thanks, Dan. Development testing, by definition, is unpredictable, which we saw with
Yeah, there's a
super
good bit
heavy
of
splashing
flakes
down
of
in the Gulf
stuff,
of Mexico today, but that is
flakes
exactly
of
why we
ice
test.
drifting
As
off.
is standard for these tests, the area around the pad and along the flight path was cleared prior to launch, and we expect the road and beach to remain closed until further notice.
Yeah, testing development flight hardware in a flight environment is what enables our teams to quickly learn and execute design changes and hardware upgrades to improve the
No, they
probability
will
of
actually
success
send
in the
a
future.
ship out there
Please do
to
not attempt to
retrieve
approach
that
the booster
booster.
in the water for your safety,
Good, I was
as
hoping
well
they would.
as for that of our team that will be working on recovery.
Especially that
Now,
close to shore.
We are
Yeah.
going to continue, though. The mission is not done.
Exactly. The mission's not over. Ship is still
Excuse me.
coasting, but it has been nonstop since liftoff. And with the booster having completed its job for the day, we are going to take a short break for the next 35 minutes or so while ship continues to coast before reentry. Now, as with previous flights, Starlink
That's
may enable us to
actually
talk to the ship through reentry with no communication
those
blackout.
little
Now,
what you're seeing is
we are
that.
still testing Starlink during this phase of flight, so nothing is completely certain.
Yeah, so if we do have views, we will be sure to bring those to you live. And of course, one of those views include that of our, as we said before, surprise payload, the banana. And we are looking forward to it. So we're going to come back in a few minutes, around T plus 35 minutes.
Exactly. Views or no views, we'll see you back here at T plus 40 minutes for our coverage of Starship's reentry, flip maneuver, landing burn, and hopefully see a splashdown.
All right, I've got to mute that because of copyright.
Can we leave up the video?
Yeah, we'll leave the video up.
Okay.
And if I hear anything come up on the, well, shoot, I won't be able to hear that. Let me do this. I'll mute the video there and turn that on here where I can monitor what's being said or played and then bring it back to you.
In case something goes wonked.
Yeah.
Which we hope it won't.
No. No, but it was a brilliant idea moving all that, the engine's gimbal on electric, the flaps gimbal on electric, the grid fins gimbal on electric.
That's good.
Meaning
it's lighter.
Yeah.
Every little bit you can save. Means
Yep.
more payload.
Which is what Starship is all about. Tons to orbit. But I love that SpaceX is naming the moon base Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
is
the
one we don't.
Starship Enterprise.
Yeah. Well, we knew that was coming.
Well, I didn't think about it, to be honest.
What is that? Oh, just a different view. It's crossing the Terminator.
Yep.
I wonder if these are infrared cameras that'll show stuff.
Don't know.
Well, we got a banana
Oh,
boot.
look. Yeah, and it's just floating because look, there's a little bit of slack in one of the cables.
All of them.
The one, the top right is not.
I mean, that ship is just beautiful. Of course, I told you about that movie that I found from 1954 called Spaceship XM.
Mm-hmm.
It's Starship. The design of the ship is Starship.
You're right.
See,
Elon is a geek, and I love it.
well, I think it was you talking about it one time. Some of the science fiction writers are way ahead of their time on some of the stuff they create and design.
Well, yeah. I mean, those who have who like me who have a technical background and who want to write semi-hard science fiction, yeah, they totally got it.
Yeah, James. Well, they did that too, and I'm willing to bet the chopsticks on the tower did all their maneuvers like it was supposed to. Oh, yeah, okay. Intel. So you're, I take it you're from out west.
Yes.
Let us know where you're located. And hey, Kiri, how you doing?
Look at the atmosphere glow in the background.
Yeah.
It's completely on the dark side now.
17 minutes to get halfway around the world.
Ain't it great?
And it's maintaining, well, the speed is dropping.
A little bit, but not much. I saw it go through perigee earlier, and now it's moving back out to apogee.
Yeah.
For those of you who keep seeing me look off this way, my cat's right here. He's just off screen, but he wants pets and belly rubs. And we're almost completely out of sight of the Terminator now. Speaking of my cat, I scared him to death a while ago when the thing launched.
Oops. Oh, now there's a view.
Yeah, that's nice. Atmosphere glow.
Mm.
It's a pity we
Well-
hadn't had any good sized solar flares lately, because this baby could probably pick up some nice auroras.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I got myself a rocket kitty. Almost it does look like, oh,
And there is the payload.
stuffed banana.
Okay, so
Banana a
James
la Starship.
is in Sacramento.
Yes. I know James. So, well, not,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well, James, I got a heads up for you. The sun's about to set in just about an hour from.
Is it banana a la Starship or banana a la SpaceX? That is not, well, that might be visible light, but I don't think so.
Moonlight,
That
because
could
we're
be
just coming off a tail end of a full moon.
true.
He says he didn't know if they want to launch in those kinds of conditions. Now, at Vandenberg, SpaceX launches in such a fog that you can't even see the ship from their cameras. NASA would never launch in that much
No.
fog, would they?
No, no.
So I wouldn't put it past
Not
SpaceX.
not a man-rated ship at any rate.
Yeah.
And I doubt they'd launch like a satellite.
Oh, in solar conditions. Meaning the solar flares and such.
Remember, low Earth orbit is inside the Van Allen belts. It's within the magnetosphere, so it's relatively safe. It's not completely, but we're not completely safe here on the surface either. So
not from a direct shot.
No, you can get mild irradiation in an aircraft flying at altitude during a solar well, the solar flare would generate a geomagnetic storm. So
yeah. Well, the upper line was showing slack.
Okay, it's probably drifting a little bit. Looks like we are now at apogee.
Of 190 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. And there's a banana. Well,
have a banana.
I'm sorry, banana jokes are just building in my head.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I hope it don't land like a squished banana.
Time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana.
Yeah.
Don't bunch.
Well, it looks like they've got a lot of well, that's the supposed Starlink dispenser.
Gotcha. So that's the truss for the Starlinks.
Yeah.
They've got a little bit of debris floating around in there. Oh, that was pretty.
It's called camera glitch.
Yeah.
Network glitch. You're not hearing any music or anything, are you?
No,
Okay. Just making sure.
you got something on in the background.
Well, I'm hearing the audio from the
Ah, okay.
feed,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't play it over the air because of copyright.
Gotcha. And we've now dropped a little bit in altitude by about 1 kilometer. Just a quick explanation of terms. G references Earth. Perigee is the closest approach in an elliptical orbit to Earth. Apogee is the furthest point in the orbit from Earth. There are other terminologies that can be used around around the moon. It's periselene and aposelene. Around Jupiter, it's perigove and apogove. Around the sun, it's perihelion and aphelion. And around another star, it would be periastron and apastron.
Ah.
Oh, yes. Although there have been so many banana jokes over the years that kind of mounts up.
Oh, if you look, I just realized it. If you look to the left, that's all the COPVs.
Okay.
And there's a little something floating around in the back over there.
Yep. And tumbling as it does. More than likely, at some point, they had some ice formation on the interior too, since there's really, it's just.
Well, at the top, they've got header tanks.
Okay.
So it could have, shook loose from that.
Frost formed on the
Yeah.
outside of the tanks. Yeah.
Now, did you notice how quick it came off the pad?
Yes. It practically leaped. Well, James, yeah, but at the same time, you need to know which set of terminologies is correct for what you're writing. John, it would depend on the name given to the exoplanet. In the case of the solar system planets, it tends to be derived from the Greek, which is interesting because most of the names, the actual planetary names, are derived from the Roman.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and Stephanie, when you
Yes.
mentioned the furthest from the sun, what's that called?
Aphelion. Uh-huh. Dan Hollyfield does an excellent webzine called Aphelion.
Okay, Todd, thank you. Wish you could hang around for the since you've seen the outgoing, would love for you to hang around for the incoming, but I hope you have a good night and hope to talk to you at LibertyCon. And everybody else is saying see you later too.
Well, come on up here and let everybody see you. This is my Astro Cat. This is Gray. Can you say hi to everybody? Huh? Can you say hi to everybody? There you
It's
go.
a fuzzball.
It's a fuzzball.
Now just laugh it up.
Oh, okay. Now we're gonna get definitely get photobombed here. Can you lay down, baby? Lay down. Lay down. Come on. Lay down. That boy. That's a good boy. No, you can't lay down on the keyboard. All right, let's see. Now lay down. Now lay down. Yeah.
I think they all do.
Yes. Lay down, baby. Yes, I know you want scritches. Lay down. There we go. We had
I
to
lay
switch
down,
arms of
then
the
you
chair.
can't give me scratches.
No, he's on the arm of the chair, the other arm of the chair now. So
Yeah. All right, I think she said they'll be back at 42 minutes.
something like. So we shouldn't be too awfully far out.
Yeah. All right, what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to jump off cam for a minute, and in NASA terms, I'm going to run down the hall.
Okay.
And I've left you up so you can.
Okay. Now I'm having to play games with my cat is right here and he's like this far from the keyboard and he wants to step on it. So yes. Um let's see, reading down through the comments. Uh actually, James, that's I don't think I have the ability to pull up a comment like Joe does because he's the host. But James commented that seems a little flashy to be ice, though. Actually, it's going to be a crystal sheet of ice. It's going to be quite flashy, actually, when the lights hit it. So that's surprisingly to those who aren't familiar with such. Most of the time, when you see something drift away from a spacecraft like that, or drift around inside of a payload bay, which is what we're looking at here, that's what you're seeing. If it flashes like that, yes, it's a snowflake-like ice crystal of significant size that is tumbling as it goes. So that's actually kind of how it why it makes those flashes, because it's tumbling. John Gray is an adoptee. He is at least part Russian blue because he has all of the coat pattern of a Russian blue, and his eyes range in near the pupil. His eyes are blue. As you move out from the pupil, it moves to yellow. So at a certain point, his eyes look teal in color. So it's rather a pretty little gradation there.
Okay, I just got a report that after the booster fell over,
Yeah.
and the splash went down, everything, it exploded again.
Well, it's hot. I'm not surprised. You know, I mean, it's hot. There are still going to be a certain amount of vapors inside the tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to go boom. That's just going to be the nature of landing in water.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to do that. Yes, James, they do. Um, I don't think they're going to be able to do that kind of a splashdown and recovery the way they would like to.
Yeah.
Just because of that. I was not surprised when you told me the previous one,
Yeah.
exploded. I was not surprised.
That is plasma.
Yes.
And that must be the
That in the
moon.
background is lightning. No, that's lightning.
Yeah. Uh-oh,
That's Earth.
there's
That's a
audio.
thunderstorm. That's another fun thing to watch when you're sitting console in front of the big screen. It's the
What, the
lightning
lightning?
play. Yeah. Once in a great while, you'll see a sprite or a jet. One mission I worked, that was one of the main experiments, was to look for sprites and jets.
Oh,
For that, and hopefully
all
see
right.
this relight
Sorry
that's
about
coming
that,
on
guys.
in about a minute. It's just going to be one of these engines.
Thank you, Dan.
And it uses what's called the header tank. So these small spherical tanks in the very top of Starship, up in the nose cone. They don't require nearly as much gas to pressurize as your main tank, so they're really useful for any in orbit maneuvers. And then
Maneuvering
for
thrusters.
landing burn. So if we make it to a landing burn today, we'll be using them for that as well. So we should be coming up in just about the next minute. It should be under a minute now away from that expected ship burn.
Excuse me.
And again, we've relit Raptors pretty frequently. We just did it with the landing burn and that boost back burn on the booster, and we've done it on ship landing burns. We just haven't done it in this microgravity environment where your propellant management and a lot of other things are different as you're now.
Joe, look at the altitude.
Earth's gravity.
Yeah.
And
Just
shut down.
heard the call out. There's some light. There's that Raptor relit and shut down. All right, there you have it. The first time ever lighting a Raptor while in outer space, other than our ascent burn. So really cool to see that relit. That's a pretty critical capability that we're going to need when we're doing orbital missions in the not too distant future.
It looked like it
check
knocked
another one
some
off.
insulation
That
loose.
was a really cool
Ice
that was an
formation.
objective we really wanted to hit on this one. And
That-
so good to
I
see
doubt
us,
it.
Knock that one out in orbit.
That would have been the
But for
weirdest
now, we're
ice
gonna
formation I've ever
coast for
seen then.
Just a little bit longer, and then it'll be time for ship entry. So we'll get the usual light show as we return from
Starship is in entry
hypersonic
prep.
velocities. We're just starting to do the entry prep for that, so we're going to get the flaps positioned, and then it's going to start taking the brunt of all of that heat as you're coming in from well in excess of 10,000 miles an hour. That's all going to build up a lot of heat as you're encountering an increasing atmosphere, building up that friction. And we're going to see how the tiles fare. We've also got some pretty cool tile experiments that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Now,
but coming up
what
real
would be
soon,
interesting
re-entry, successful
from a
relight.
science perspective
And we'll start this entry part
would
soon.
be if we had a failure because of the new tile arrangement.
Arrangement.
Yeah. Kill the music.
Oh, I'll find it. All right.
Trying to
And we're
weird
starting to
colors.
see the glow.
Huh?
And we're starting to see the glow.
Yep.
There it is.
Yep. There we go.
Now, I have heard stories that if you watching the thunderstorm from like ISS, you can watch lightning pop off in one place and then it just run in a chain all the way up through the storm.
Yes. There's also they're finding out now that there are yes, Dave, that's why I said it would be interesting from a scientific perspective if things kind of went south. They're finding out that there's more to lightning than anybody ever knew, because when I was talking about sprites and jets, there are actually colored electrical discharges that will move up from the storm.
Yeah.
And take on different shapes. And these were only recently discovered, and they were discovered because of the space age. They were not known before that, but now some photographers are getting creative and they're learning where they need to be in order to take ground-based pictures of them. So more and more we're getting pictures of that. We still don't understand them though.
Yeah. How the like the lightning starts from the light pole going up and then connecting to whatever's coming down from the cloud.
Yes. Except some of the stuff like the jets actually are coming up from the cloud, up high into the atmosphere.
Ah. So it's also reaching up through to catch something.
Yes. We just are not exactly sure what or why.
Is that just not gorgeous?
Yeah, but it's also, to me, it's kind of scary. Because if you don't have insulation from this, you don't make it.
Yeah. Well, they from the last few re-entries I've seen, where I don't know if it's not my pointer isn't showing, but you can see the line of heat tiles. It's never reached up past that.
Yeah, and that's fine. The shuttle actually didn't use tiles on the upper surface. It used thermal blanketing material, which you know because you gave me a piece of it.
Yeah.
Joe very kindly had a really cool lanyard made up for me, consisting of a space patterned cloth with a little piece of off-white material stuck into the band of the lanyard, and that little bit of off-white material is a piece of space shuttle thermal blanketing. So that is one of my prized possessions, and I break it out at science fiction conventions for my badge. But this is scary to me because I had a friend on board Columbia when it went down. At the time it broke up during reentry, it was traveling at probably about Mach 17. And that just wasn't survivable. So
Right now, they're at 26,800 kilometers per hour. I don't know what that translates to American. I don't know. That's a neat view.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's ice that is formed inside from the engine chill.
Wow. Yeah, you're right.
And they've actually got tiles missing underneath there. Oh, there's a view of the flaps.
It's not quite 16,100.
Well, that's still pardon the language, it's still mock Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but in that engine section, there are tiles not intentionally not placed there, just the thermal blanket.
Okay. That
And just so happens to be where that camera is pointed.
Joe, bring down your camera for a minute so I can get a little bit bigger picture of this thing.
Okay. All right.
That is a really, really wild piece of ice.
Yeah.
In which case, I take back what I said earlier. That thing probably was a piece of ice knocked off.
Yeah.
Come on back. There we go. But I've never seen a piece of ice that looked like that before.
All right.
Not on a spaceship, anyway.
4 p.m. Central Time. The Super Heavy booster and ship had a successful separation as well as a good boost back burn and good separation of the hot stage adapter. We did not attempt a return to the launch site and catch attempt today when strict criteria were not met and the Super Heavy booster executed a planned divert to a landing burn and soft splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, obviously we were hoping to come back to the tower, but this was a test and we knew that it was a very viable possibility.
Starship is at 85 kilometers. Flaps now have control of the vehicle.
All right, great news there. Turning our attention over to the star of the show here, giving us these amazing views once again. We heard the call out there telling us that the Starship vehicle is now 83 kilometers above, coming up around T plus, well, now actually, the ship, as you can see, is beginning to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere. As a reminder, one of the main goals of today's flight test is for the ship to make it through the extreme heat of reentry and to do so in a controlled manner. Now, reentry is typically a portion of flight where we don't have communication capability with the spacecraft because it's re-entering at or around orbital velocity, which is roughly 8 kilometers per second or about 5 miles per second. Now, at those speeds, yep, pretty fast. The spacecraft is moving through the atmosphere
generating a plasma.
and that results in friction, as we can see that starting to happen on our screen, and this creates a plasma field.
There's a message
around
for
the
you
vehicle. That
from a Nolan
plasma
Tomlinson.
distorts communication frequencies. So it's
Thank you. I'm doing pretty well. Yes, and I'm really, really enjoying this little event here.
Starship is approaching the peak heating phase of entry.
And we
What's-
just heard we're getting into the peak heating phase. We're getting these views.
What's
courtesy of
interesting is
Starlink,
that ice is not
for,
melting.
different terminals on the ship itself. It's really allowed us
And
to
there's
get real-time data during
different
what's otherwise been
pieces
just
of ice all around.
essentially for spacecraft design, where when you're re-entering
That
through the
almost
atmosphere,
looks like a flower.
getting
Oh, there it
heat,
went. There went a
Yeah.
piece.
hasn't ever been possible.
That's a
but
vent.
we're able to not just get these views,
Yeah,
but
and it's ice forming around the vent.
ship as it's coming
and now starting to melt.
Yeah.
Do really want to stress that we are really pushing the ship today.
Can you still hear it, or do I need to give it a little more volume?
Configuration as it was last.
It's awful
can hear
low
it.
on my side.
We had a
Okay, go ahead and bump it.
do just an otherworldly task, replacing
That's
the
is that a little
entire
better?
shield,
Yes.
thousands of tiles, installing a backup ablative, and that pretty much set us up to do a pinpoint landing on Flight 5. We did not do that with this one. We have some backup in those really sensitive areas around the flat, but this is an older generation heat shield. And knowing we weren't going to do that, we even went and removed some extra tiles. There are some missing tiles on the nose cone where we're testing some backups. There are
Yeah,
some
this is the
steel
last
covered
flight
tiles
of this
in a
style
couple of
vehicle.
different
The new
spots,
vehicle
and there's
Yeah.
also
will go on the
full
next
onboard
launch.
steel of the ship
But I
as well.
didn't realize how
Yeah,
much
talked
they
about
had
we gave it a bit of a
tweaked
haircut,
it
a couple hundred
to
tiles,
undercut
the sides, and that's where
The
we
weight.
have to
That's not a good thing.
Ooh, color,
What, the
color's
green?
starting to come in. So it looks
Yeah.
like, things are going to start heating up, Kate and Jesse.
Yeah, fun fact, Dan, we actually removed 2,100 heat shield tiles from Starship in order to basically present that necessary receding line, which you kind
Bite
of
my
see
lip.
there
Don't
in
cuss. Don't
review.
cuss.
Think back to previous flights, the heat shield line came up further on the vehicle, and just like Dan said, we want to test the vehicle beyond what we think it is capable of carrying based on our simulations.
So they're
and
trying to
calculations.
make it
So once again, to
break.
just be super plain, don't be surprised if we see some
And then
wackadoodle stuff happen here.
Nolan's asking,
We will
how does
see.
this compare to the things
There
you
are a
worked
number of
on at
things that
NASA?
we are testing out intentionally to
There's
see
a
what
lot of similarities in
Yeah, exactly.
many
Knowing what those
ways,
limits are will
but
really help us
SpaceX,
design the vehicle of the
because they
future.
are not
Essentially removing those tiles helps us remove a lot of
overseen by the
weight from
government. They are
vehicle,
not a
lot of
government
things that might
agency.
potentially need refurbishment in the future. And the goal is to
They can
come
get
up
away
with
with
a
doing
heat
stuff
shield
like this
pattern or
where we could
design
not.
that we don't have to refurbish. We can just continue to use it over and over
And
again. And
Yes,
yeah,
this
the
may
while we're
potentially be a
changing
destruction
some of
test.
those
Yes.
tiles and
test to
moving stuff around,
destruction.
removing a
I
lot of
kind of
those
hope it
tiles,
doesn't, because
as
that
Kate had
will really
exactly.
speak
And
to the
you know, looking
robustness
forward
of the
to
design.
Starship capability
Yeah.
of the future, we want to be able to
But
catch
at the
Starship
same
like
time,
we do with boosters. And so the next flight, we want to better
They'll know
understand
exactly where the
we can
point of
install
failure
catch
is.
hardware,
yeah,
not necessarily to actually do the catch, but to see how that hardware holds up in those spots. And today's flight will help inform, you know, does the stainless steel hold
they're
up? like we
definitely getting
think it may
ablation
based on
there,
experiments that we conducted on Flight 5.
especially over
Happens
there on the
into
right, right
amazing
about now.
news. Yeah, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, there's so much on this flight that we're
They're
doing
at
to
68
try
kilometers
and,
altitude.
make all the ships that we're about to start flying even better. Just really understand.
And
what
I
the
mean,
capabilities
if you
are gonna
look at
be.
the speed, it's
We've got kind of
slamming.
the next gen ship
Yeah, it is.
lined up for Flight 7. It's got all of those heat shield upgrades and everything.
I wonder what the
Uh,
G's,
And
what
one of
those
the things
G's
that we're going to
would
be
be.
doing that's most interesting, and one of the reasons we
Oh,
want daylight is we're
at
gonna
one
be
time I could have
flying
told you, but
pretty
it's been a long
aggressively as
time
ship comes in.
since
We're
I've
gonna be kind of nose down, and we've done it in wind tunnels, we've done it in simulations.
Oh,
we've
now
done
they're
it in
getting
flaps,
airflow
really
over
flapping
the
around,
top
trying
of
to
the
control
flap.
the vehicle.
yeah.
We're betting we might have a little bit more capability
Oh, and it's starting
than
to
we think in just the
temper.
analysis, but always a chance that doesn't pay off.
You see the color
But that
changing.
just helps us know, like,
Yeah.
what are our
Starship
limits?
is now halfway through the peak heating phase of entry.
Sweet. Halfway there, halfway home, guys.
Yeah, and if you guys again can follow along with the altitude and the speed of ship as it's making its way back down to Earth,
But it
bottom
is
right
slowing
hand
down.
corner of your screen, speed is still going really, really fast. Again, as it gets closer to Earth, we'll see that altitude drop a little bit faster. It's kind of dropping pretty slow right now. And again, as we get
Yes, it
closer and
is,
closer
James.
to literally the surface of the water, then we'll
I'm
start to see
just
that
I'm
speed
just
pick up.
kind of cringing
And
at
if
what
we
I'm
can
seeing,
make
though,
it
to be
through
honest.
this re-entry, we
Watching
will
that
come to
stainless
that
steel
first maneuver
temper
once
just a
again,
little bit.
and splash down in the ocean.
Yeah,
Exactly. Like we've been saying, we are testing
it really is,
beyond
Nolan,
the
and they
perceived
are.
limits of the vehicle. We want to go learn more
I'm
about
just
the ship,
used to
and this is a
dealing
great
with
opportunity to do that. So really
manned
pushing the flight
spacecraft,
hardware in a flight
and
environment.
I'm really glad this
to help
isn't.
inform these future designs. As we've mentioned, it has a different heat shield. This heat shield is not the same generation as what we flew last time. This one is one generation older. So we are also testing out new secondary thermal protection materials. So basically, like if the heat shield isn't in this one spot, can this other material protect the metal is the thinking there. Also checking of the ship's structural strength in those areas where we're looking to add that ship catch hardware, just to see if it
Every time I
survives
see that,
entry.
it makes me cringe.
So yeah, as we've been saying, we've
What, all
done,
that
a lot of
plasma?
calculations and simulations.
Mhm.
This view right here is super cool. This is looking out from the aft engine bay, basically at the bottom of Starship. Then on the center left-hand panel, if you will, we have one of the forward Starship flaps. So one of the flaps located at the top.
The way that
the
looks,
vehicle.
that probably
Underneath that
is
is
the
one of aft
on the
end
engine
flaps,
side.
like the one that we
That
see
may
in
be
main
the
picture there
connector
on the
tube
right-hand side of your
for
screen.
the
Now these views as the vehicle continues to enter the
some
Earth's
prop loading
atmosphere, drawing
or
a crowd once
propellant
again here
transfer
at
between the two
SpaceX and
vehicles.
Hawthorne as
Mhm.
folks tune in as the mission continues on.
I'm just
Now,
wondering
the
what it
next
is I'm
event
seeing
that
on
we
the
have
right
coming up,
in the main
we
screen that keeps the
should
blading.
hear the call out.
Oh, that wasn't good.
Is
What?
Sonic around
You didn't see the
T+1
flare of
hour,
something of
2
blading in
minutes
the
or so.
and from the engine view?
That means that the vehicle
No.
is traveling near the speed of sound. We say near the speed of sound because there are certain parts of the vehicle where airflow is going faster and other parts where it's going slower. So it kind of teeters there on the brink of
Coming up on
Oh, we
19.
got ground. We can see ground now.
Once we have equal
Yeah.
flow on all parts, then we'll hear it subsonic.
Yeah, no,
Oh, and
Just
almost
below
real quick,
19,000
almost a
kilometers
reverse of-
per hour.
Sorry, Jesse. Almost a reverse of before. We see the Earth starting to come into view. We've got sunrise there over the Indian Ocean. So this is going to look different from any of the re-entries we've had before. And it was specifically so like we get as much daylight as possible to see how ship does this. Over to you, Jesse. Sorry about that.
Dan, great minds think
See
alike.
the
That's
sparks
exactly
coming
what I was
off?
going to point out is that we're
Yeah.
getting a lot
I'm
clearer
looking at the
view of
flame
Earth in
at the
background with
fin
the different
attachment
temperatures
point,
that we're seeing, with
getting
the
a
different
little
colors,
red,
of that
Mhm.
plasma around the ship, which is really,
but it's
really cool
not
to see.
getting up past
Again,
the tiles yet.
we are pushing the limits of ship today, but so far everything is looking pretty nominal.
Yeah.
We'll see how the next few minutes goes.
Yeah, like we've said before, don't be surprised if this is not entirely smooth sailing all the way down to the ocean surface. Similar to Flight
Oh,
5,
wow.
we are targeting the same splashdown location in the Indian Ocean, but we are not expecting to recover the vehicle.
Right, and we were getting some glimpses of the flaps. The flaps so far are looking pretty good. We're not seeing any burn through. There's those flaps again in that hinge area, which is our most concerning area there. That's great news for us for now. Again, the next few minutes could change.
We
as
got
we
some
continue
rainbow
to
colors, though.
push those limits.
Yeah.
Come on, give us a
we
banana
slow
view
down a little bit
on the split
for
screen.
subsonic, essentially. So I think that's
They're
about
the flaps are
1,200
functional
kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
Once we're down below that, that's
because
when
they
we're gonna
just
kind of
adjusted that
dip
one.
our nose down and get that more aggressive angle of attack. Normally, we're just belly flop right into the water, pretty much that position. But if we're going to be able to do return to launch sites,
All that ice is
we're
all
going to want
gone.
to be able to fly with a little bit more of an angle of attack, get you a little bit more range as you're coming through. And so this will be just a test to see.
And they don't
quite
light
how
the
far can
engines
we
until
push
they're
it.
below a
Obviously, we're gonna
kilometer.
do these kind of tests way out
Oh,
here
wow.
in super remote areas before you ever try to bring a ship back to a place like Starbase.
Starship remains on a good entry trajectory. External temperatures are coming down.
Okay.
All right, great news there. That tells us that we are
Yeah, but
through
look at the
the
side
phase
there.
of heating. So we are
It-
expecting
It did buckle a little.
these temperatures
Yeah.
to continue to come down. Once again, we
And that's
are
one of the
targeting
landing
a
points.
soft splashdown in the Indian
Mhm.
Ocean off the northwest coast of Australia. We can see these beautiful views of planet Earth coming in. Yeah, this is very different where we had nighttime.
Oh, there it
views
goes.
Of the ship as it was re-entering.
What
And
what
now
did
we've
I
got
miss?
daylight. It is
Center,
about an hour
center.
or so after
Oh,
sunrise.
yeah.
Center.
Pretty cool to see this.
Yeah, and it might not seem like it makes a huge difference, but we do get a little bit more light on ship as well for the camera views that we have, which is very beneficial for us to visually see anything and try and correlate that to any of the sensors or data that we have on the vehicle.
I'll be right back.
Exactly. That is why we shifted our
I'm
launch
still on
angle so
mic.
that we could have
Okay.
that daylight in order to improve our observations of the
I
vehicle.
want to see the
So
other
not
view.
only are we getting all the
Guys,
data from
guys,
all the sensors
come on, let me see the
that
other
are
view.
on board Starship, but we also have multiple cameras and assets out there that are watching the
Nope,
vehicle
that's not
and
the
will
right
also be
view.
able to tell us with this
All right,
visual
I'm
story
back.
that is also
Okay.
very, very important.
While they're talking about heat shield
And as
tiles,
we get down a little bit lower,
this
Yes.
is how big they
Raptor
are.
engines are in their chill phase right now, so
Yep.
it's essentially
This
getting
one
them
weighs-
primed to turn on. We're going to use those
Oh,
3 center engines
About
to do a landing
about
flip
4
and a
ounces
landing
more,
burn. So
4 to
come
6
down
ounces
kind of
more
at
than
the
one of the
30
actual
down belly
ones.
flop and then fire off those engines.
And
flip
I
us
think it
around,
weighs
and then do
maybe
that
a
final
pound and a
landing burn.
half.
That should be coming up in just a little over, just under 5 minutes from now.
And what did
And
she
then
say?
hopefully we start getting some call-outs
21,000
on
of them
subsonic
were
and subsonic
removed.
as we slow down. Again,
Mm-hmm.
once you hear Starship is subsonic, keep a close eye on the flaps. They're going to be working overtime essentially to maintain control.
That
of
thing
the
has
ship.
still got a lot of heat coming
We're
off it.
more aggressive with this.
Oh, yeah. That one got
42
hot.
kilometers out.
See
Oh,
that
yeah,
we
boy.
are beginning-
Starship has passed maximum entry dynamic pressure.
All right, great call out there.
That
But
was a
we can
tile.
see on this view here that we do have some heating there on that looks like one of the forward flaps on Starship. This is to be expected. We knew that the vehicle would perform differently than what we had seen on Flight 5. This is actually really good data because it tells us.
And
what
if you
parts
look
of
at the
the
top,
vehicle
it's even
at this
changed. It's even got
what
the
will soon be a higher angle of attack once we drop
rainbow
down
look.
below the speed of sound.
Mhm.
We'll have a higher angle of attack, meaning we're going to be flying nose down, basically. So yeah, this is good news, but we can actually, looks like that heating is starting to cool off there.
Yeah, it's a little burn
Yeah,
through.
but you lost some chunks,
Again, it
guys.
is important to note when we start seeing that through the ship's descent as well. So like Kate was saying, we're getting some really good data here. Looks like the other flaps are doing a little better than the one that has a little burn through, which is some good news. Again, constantly watching. We've got a couple minutes until we're expecting
Man, look at the
to make it
rainbowing.
all the way back down to Earth.
That got warm.
And like we said before,
Uh-huh.
we are not expecting
We're at 30
too much
kilometers
turbulence,
altitude.
although that would be great. It'd be a nice bonus if it happened, but it's not really in our expectations today. We really want to push the hardware, as we've been saying.
It looks
But
like
really
engine
the
chill.
telemetry and the data and the video that we receive all the way to the end is truly what we're looking for and will help inform the future designs of this vehicle.
Of course,
Broke 25 kilometers.
As the camera is
Do
moving
what?
around,
Broke 25 kilometers
there,
altitude.
flaps adjusting.
They said
We
the
have a
the
camera
main
on
payload
the
of this
flaps there.
mission
That's
is
where
data.
this is the view that you're seeing
Yes.
there. And you can also see the graphic in the bottom.
Starship is slowing down past Mach 1.
And
Subsonic.
aligning with this, you can see the
Mhm.
orientation of the
Below
vehicle
20
starting to
kilometers
change.
altitude.
All that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Again, that is why those flaps are changing. They control the orientation of the vehicle.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
four.
this is.
Go ahead, Dan.
Starship has started the subsonic
I
belly
was gonna-
flop, remains on a good trajectory.
I was gonna say this is when things
15
will
kilometers.
start to get a little interesting. So this is when we're moving slower than the speed of sound. You can see that nose slowly start to tip down, and we're gonna try and maintain flap control the whole way. But we are just a couple minutes away from hopefully doing a landing flip and landing burn if the flaps can hold together.
Yeah, this is such a cool view. This reminds me of when we first performed.
And you're
the
still
belly
way
flop
above
maneuver on high altitude test with serial number 8.
Normal
We saw the ship
aircraft
come back
altitude,
through, and I always
10
wondered
kilometers.
what it looked like from the
Yeah.
ship's perspective, and this perspective I think helps inform that. We will be, as Dan said, we will be dipping down a little further and really be flying nose first. This higher angle of attack, we're intentionally doing it to stress those aft flaps, and that will help inform the limits of flap control in order to collect data for future landing profiles.
Watch the clouds come rushing up now.
Yeah, they're getting there.
I mean, we're looking
5
we're looking
kilometers.
good so far. We've just got about 5 kilometers in altitude to go. We'll ignite the engines when we're still just a couple hundred meters
4.
over the ground. Do that flip.
Starship is
and
passing
landing.
through 5 kilometers altitude, remains on a good trajectory.
I have a feeling
3.
this is going to look so cool as it passes through the clouds.
That's
Obligatory
engine
Shout
chill.
out to the entire avionics team on Starship.
2.
And there's that nose down orientation.
First cloud deck through. 1 kilometer.
Now the Raptor engines will relight and help flip the booster back up. This is a more
1
severe
kilometer.
failure given the orientation.
Okay, guys.
The engines will shut down prior
Light the
to
motor.
water making impact, prior to the vehicle making impact with the water.
Our ship is doing great so far.
We got 3 engines
There's
lit.
engines relighting.
What a great
Oh, there's the water.
intention by Starship.
Wow.
All 3 down.
Oh, they got a buoy cam.
Starship is landed.
Wow.
And we have ship splashed down in the Indian Ocean.
Oh,
Some
I am
awesome
so impressed.
cam action
I am
here.
so impressed.
Daylight views.
Oh,
Of course, there's fires everywhere now. So
Incredible.
yeah.
We really pushed the limits on shipping and made it all the way back down to Earth.
I am shocked, to
It's
be honest.
cracked
I think
massively.
many folks are.
But with
the
that
fact
kind
that
of
it survived
heating and then you
all the
dump
way
it in the
through
water.
while flying a lesser
Yeah.
gen heat shield is just absolutely incredible. And turns out the vehicle had more capability than our calculations predicted. And that is why
They thought
test
they were
like
going to
fly.
break the thing.
Exactly why we do that. And those views were absolutely incredible to watch.
That
Because of
was
Starlink, we were
impressive.
able to get the views all the way down, as well
yes,
as the buoys, seeing ship
My
touch down in
congratulations
daylight.
to Mr. Musk and all of
Now, we want to
SpaceX.
all the engineers.
unfortunately wrap up
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah, exactly. We'll say congratulations to our teammates at SpaceX and to everyone who supported the Starship program. And thank you to all of our future customers for your support.
Yeah,
also like to
James,
thank
you're
the
right.
people of
The
County,
with the
Texas,
buckling
as
we
well
saw,
as the
yeah,
Coast Guard,
it's not
Federal
surprising
Aviation
at all
Administration,
that
the
it
government
cracked.
of Mexico, and the Australian Space Agency.
Now, be sure to
Live TV.
Yep.
They're
Hey
going.
guys, I could take it from here. That was just incredible to see that splashdown. As you said, thanks to everybody that took such a huge part in this. Everybody here at Starbase that's worked on this program, just really pouring
James,
your
thanks.
lives into it. Great to see another booster lift off. We'll catch it the next time. Great to see ship in the water. New version of ship coming soon, so a lot more exciting launches coming up real soon here from Starbase. But I'll send us out this time. We'll see you guys next time.
Joe,
Awesome.
you got
Thanks,
one
Dan.
comment
Be
you
sure
need to put
follow
up there.
SpaceX on X for
Which
updates
That
one?
on
last
more
one,
exciting
the
news
Heinlein.
that we weren't able to feature on today's broadcast.
I'm sure
'Cause
there will
I
be plenty
agree.
of those.
Yeah.
So
What do you
thanks to all of
think
you for tuning
Mr.
in,
Von
and
Braun would
we'll
have been
see you next
saying
time.
about that?
He would have been thrilled because the original design for shuttle was to have had many of these same capabilities,
Yeah.
with most of it being reusable and no solid rocket boosters.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is that he couldn't get it funded, so
Yeah.
they cut it. They cut the design, and they still couldn't get it approved. So they cut it back some more and some more and some more until finally it could be funded. And as a result, you have Challenger and Columbia to thank for it. And frankly, I lay the blame for both of those squarely at the feet of Congress.
Yeah. And the push for we got to go, we got to go, we got to go. It ain't ready. We got to go.
Mm-hmm. You can lay that at the feet of Capitol Hill too.
Yep.
James, I don't really know that for sure because I was a kid at that point.
Yeah.
I remember it, but I don't remember enough of the design aspects to be able to tell you. And that's something I actually haven't looked into the history of.
Yeah.
Shuttle program I worked, shuttle program I know the history of.
Yeah. Like I said, this is how big one of those heat shield tiles are. And this one weighs maybe 4 ounces more than what a real one weighs. So
Yeah.
this would be, and this weighs just a little over a pound.
The next time I come on here, I'll see if I can't dig out my space shuttle tile.
Yeah.
And we can compare them.
Yeah.
So.
But on that flight, 21,000 less. So that's 20. Just roughly go 20,000 pounds.
Yeah.
That's 10 tons.
Yeah.
That's 10 tons more payload. That's a huge satellite, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. That's a big satellite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, realize that every time you save weight on the vehicle while maintaining the thrust, you have just increased the payload ability.
Yeah. But that was impressive. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get a booster catch, but we got a full landing, and not a landed for both, and not a super hard landing that the vehicle destroyed itself.
Yeah, it still destroyed itself, but it was a thermal destruction rather than
impact.
Yeah. It was a soft landing, and then it was just kind of like, I'm too hot, you're too cold, bluey. Which as James said, I think it was James, it was not surprising given the amount of buckling we saw.
Yeah. Nolan, 2026 will be a manned orbital mission of the moon. And they're saying 28, the possible landing. SpaceX will be ready for the moon landing in 26. The end of 26. That ain't too far away.
No, not at all. 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, if I were about 30 years younger.
Yeah. Now here's something that they're saying. It's very possible Orion is designed to launch on several different rockets.
Which was smart.
Of course, that would be to Leo. Falcon Heavy can lift Orion. they could actually do a launch the lander, do the refueling, launch Orion up to the lander, and use the lander as the transportation. With the Orion attached.
Uh-huh.
Disembark. I think 3 people are going down to surface, and one's going to stay on the Orion for maintenance. Just
Okay, they gotta do something about that. They need to send like 5 people, and 2 of them stay in orbit, 3 go down. Because
Yeah.
that poor guy that's left in orbit,
yeah.
that is one lonesome period of time.
Especially rolling around the backside.
Uh-huh. Nolan, yes, I actually do remember it. I was a kid, but I was old enough to remember it really well, and so I am really excited about getting to see another one. I thought by the time I got to be an adult, we would be doing that on a regular basis, and I might get to go. Of course, once again, Capitol Hill had more influence than they should have. So, Nolan, Dave, I remember the Apollo 1 fire. And one of the reasons why I was so excited about the concept of Starship Enterprise was because that show was just in its original airing, and I looked at it and I saw this is what it could be. And I looked at the Apollo fire and I said, this is where we are. But these guys thought that this was important enough to risk their lives, and they died for it. And, little kid, and I'm going, I want to help get from here to here.
Yeah.
And so that is why I worked in the space program. So. And James, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. There was no longer even Kennedy lost his support for it at that point. Are you talking about the capsule that sank?
And just so happens that one whose capsule sank was in the Apollo 1 fire.
Yeah. Gus Grissom. And you know what the really, really ironic part of that was?
What?
They redesigned the hatch so that it opened inward as a result of the Mercury capsule sinking.
Yeah.
Because in the Mercury capsule, it opened outward. The fact that it opened inward on the Apollo fire meant they couldn't get the door open to get them out.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the hatch open to get them out because they were pushing against the pressure of the heated atmosphere within.
Yeah. And Gus Grissom was dead against it too.
Doesn't surprise me. Gus was a fairly smart guy.
Yeah, he said, if I die, it's because of that hatch. They told him, shut up and do your job.
But we have something that seems to be working much better now.
Oh, yeah.
Today, I was, even though it was supposed to be a test to destruction, I was extremely impressed because it didn't destruct. Not the way they thought it would anyway.
Even they were shocked. You could see the look on their face of, all right, James.
Yeah, I mean, it landed.
Yeah, they're going, it was even better than our calculations.
Yeah. That says a lot. That says a lot. So,
Over-engineered.
and that's the way you got to do something like this.
Of course, Elon's also said the best part is no part. Everybody went,
Yes.
what? The best part is no part. And they're going, why? He says, because no part can fail.
Yep.
Or no part can't fail.
Joe, would you pull up Nolan's comment?
Which one? Oh, there.
I would hope that we will. I suspect that if Elon and some of the others have their way, we most certainly will. And if we're smart, we'll use that to inform and training there to inform our flight to Mars.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is, well, why don't we just go straight to Mars? Well, there are things that we can do on the moon that we cannot do in orbit. And one of those things is train in a lower gravity environment and train for the techniques that we need to operate on Mars. The difference is that the moon is much closer. And if can we use 4-letter words? Joe?
Alexa, stop. The weather. Alexa was telling me my weather.
Oh. If the you-know-what hits the rotating atmospheric movers, then if something goes wrong during the moon training, we're only a couple of days away, as opposed to on Mars, we are at best a couple of months away. So you can go do your training on the moon. If something goes haywire, you got a chance of rescue. It would, but Dave, the best bet is to actually have a station in the central Lagrange point, so that you're not going from the moon or Earth. You're not having to dig out of a gravity well. You're outside the gravity well, and you simply launch and go.
And wouldn't it be better to train on the moon for the?
Oh, absolutely. For all of it.
Because the moon's what, 1/6 gravity?
Yes, and Mars is
And
1/3.
Mars 1/3, which means you would actually be stronger and acclimated to be stronger on Mars.
Excuse me. I just got back yesterday from a convention, and something in the hotel I was allergic to.
Colin's asking 1, 2, or 3 on the Lagrange.
And I always have to go look. Either one would, any of those 3 would work. L1 is a little bit closer in general, so it would probably make more sense to build something at L1, which is in between the moon and Earth.
So basically, their gravities cancel each other out.
Yes.
Okay.
L1, there is basically, if you push away from L1 along the axis of the planets of the planet satellite system,
Yeah.
depending on which direction you push, you'll float towards one or the other of them and enter the gravity well. If you push at right angles to it, you'll float away from it. You'll come out of the Earth-Moon system altogether.
Ah. That's very interesting.
Yes.
Of course, it makes sense. Yeah, but
Now the one logical thing to do would also be to add a communications facility at, I think it was L2, which is the Lagrange point on the lunar far side. And the reason for that is because that is, yes, it's L2. That is a point of stability. If you put something there, it will tend to stay there. Now, of course, it's directly behind the moon. So what you really want to do is you want to put a satellite in what's called a Lissajous orbit around the L2 point. And the advantage to that is that periodically it's a sort of a almost not quite random but semi-repeating kind of a squiggle that wraps around the L point, the Lagrange point.
A moving figure 8.
More or less, yes.
Okay.
It's a little more complex than that, but generally, yes.
Best way to describe it to somebody that don't know.
Yeah. And so the advantage you have to that is that periodically that satellite comes out from behind the moon and the Earth can see it. And so you can use that as a communications point. You can even use that as a communications point if you build a colony on the lunar far side, because it shoots its signal up to the satellite and the satellite relays it back to Earth.
Yeah.
I don't think Apophis is going to render it moot. For those that are unfamiliar with Apophis, yes, spirograph. Apophis is an asteroid that's going to come fairly close to Earth in a few years. And for a while there, the calculations indicated that it was going to impact. And it's big enough to cause a real problem should it do that. But currently, the orbit has been refined enough that we're pretty sure that we're like 99.99% sure that it's going to miss. So we'll be okay.
Yeah, some of our satellites may not survive the pass through, but
let me see here.
Depending on their time of orbit, and we should see it go through, right?
Yeah. It's about 1,100 feet across. It's going to come within a little bit less than 20,000 miles of Earth. So
maybe with the binoculars.
Oh no, we'll be able to see it. But as it might take out some of the outer. Even then, I doubt it will take out any of the satellites. But it potentially could impact a satellite. But small satellite, small asteroid, miss. So.
And the little satellite hamsters are going, run faster, run faster.
Whatever you do, don't stop. Yes, it will demonstrate the fact that space is really, really big. And that is actually where collisions are concerned. That's a good thing. Because the bigger it is, the further apart everything is. The further apart everything is, the less likely it is to collide.
Now, I saw a video the other day that, compared the moon to the Earth to like Jupiter to the sun, and then taking the suns up. And at each one, they'd say, this sun, if it was this star, if it was in where the sun's sitting, these planets wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And then there's one superstar somewhere that if its center was placed in the center of our solar system, there wouldn't be a solar system.
Yeah. There's
Because
some amazing stuff out there.
yeah, because the outer edge of that star would be beyond the Oort cloud.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. The concept in movies and TV shows that you're constantly dodging asteroids moving through it. No. Like, oh, did I just see something over there? Well, no, I didn't. Never mind.
Yeah, trust me, if the asteroids were that close together, they would be attracting to each other.
Yes.
They would be forming a planet.
Yes. But the reason why the asteroid, but yes, it is a big star. The reason why the asteroid belt didn't form a planet, we think, is Jupiter, because it was close enough to tidally disrupt it, gravitationally disrupt it, and keep it from collapsing into a planet. Now, the outermost stuff, the Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud, yeah, that big bully. The Kuiper belt and the Oort cloud, they are far enough out that the distances are so great that it just wasn't going to happen. But it's the leftovers from the original solar nebula.
Now I just see some crazy rich billionaire, Elon, trying to gather all the asteroids in the asteroid belt to form a planet to mine.
Well, why bother mining a planet, putting it together into a planet? When you can just mine the asteroids.
Yeah. Now
you got a
reminds,
whole lot less distance to get to.
Yeah. Here's the question. When they talk about mining on the moon, wouldn't that change, and transferring it back here to Earth? Would that not lighten the moon to make it move away faster?
It would, but you're talking about drops in a bucket. The moon is a lot bigger than people think it is.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest moons in the solar system.
It's like what, the 11th or 12th largest body in the solar system.
Something like that. Yeah.
Hmm.
I've never actually. Okay. I'm trying to find
Voyager.
Yeah.
I had somebody describe the Earth-Moon system as biplanetary.
It's a binary system, yes. Think about a sine wave, and then you've got a cosine wave, which is opposite the sine wave. So you've got,
yeah.
Okay. Now take that and bend it around into a loose circle. They connect. You never have a disconnect where you don't have the moon doing this. The moon is doing this. So if you go around the sun, the moon is doing this around the sun. The Earth is doing the same thing, but 180 degrees out of phase. And so the moon has a closed orbit around the sun. The Earth has a closed orbit around the sun, and yet they orbit a common center of mass. It's a binary planet.
Which allows for the tidal waves in the atmosphere.
And to be honest, generally speaking, it's quite likely that were that not the case, we would not be here. Because the moon does an awful lot in terms of stabilizing our orbit, our axial tilt, and our daily rotation.
Oh, I got one more graph to show you, or model to show you, Stephanie, and
Okay.
the people that are still here.
I'm still trying to find out. Where
This
the
is
heck?
a Raptor 2.
Oh, nice.
This is a Raptor 2 model. This is 1/10 scale.
They're not small.
They're not small, but compared to, other rocket engines, that's
They're
small.
not huge. Yeah, it's not a it's not a space shuttle main engine, and it's not a Saturn V booster engine.
F1.
Yeah,
I like showing that to people to give them, a perspective of just how big it is. The Raptor 2, well, not the Raptor 2, the Raptor 3, they've been doing test fires, and Elon brought it out. 340 bar pressure in the chamber.
that's impressive.
Smaller than that.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Remind me how I share my screen.
Present. And then probably share tab. I think that's what it is. Present, share screen. There you go.
All right. This is a three-dimensional depiction of where Voyager 1 is with regard to the solar system.
It's out there.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's out there. It's not. And see there, you can see Pioneer 10. And here's New Horizons. So they're all going in different directions.
Yeah.
Here's Pioneer 11.
And Voyager's flying faster than all of. Well, I guess New Horizons probably running faster than Voyager if it's that far out already.
Yeah, quite likely.
Of course, there's Voyager
2.
Now,
so
I gotta ask.
Out there. Okay.
Where's the manhole?
Way the heck on out there. One of these days, somebody is going to.
And look what Dave McCombs popped up about the same time I said it.
One of these days, an extraterrestrial lawyer is going to show up to discuss damage over that manhole cover. So how many people know the story of the manhole cover?
Oh, we did a whole stupid o'clock on that manhole cover, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. But not everybody here. Nolan, if you're talking about Elon's car, that's probably, if memory serves, they overshot the mark on the orbital burn, and it's probably out somewhere orbiting the sun past Mars about now.
No, it's on its way. They've estimated it's on its way back through, and it's going to do like the figure 8 between Mars and Earth.
Okay.
It's on its way back from Mars.
Pop that one up. For those that are watching and don't know what we're talking about with respect to the manhole cover, at least one and possibly two of the underground nuclear tests relatively early on, they decided to try to cap off the borehole to plant the nuke with something very much approximating a manhole cover. Slightly larger, slightly thicker, but the same general design. And they decided that they were going to video the test with high-speed cameras, as they usually did. And when everything was said and done, that manhole cover was nowhere to be found. So somebody had the bright idea to go back and look at the video. And they caught exactly one frame of the manhole cover about, yay high off the ground. And that was the only frame they caught. And based on that speed, based on the speed of the camera and the height, they were able to calculate the velocity, and it was well exceeding escape velocity. And Dave, yes, I do actually plan to put it in a Division 1 book one of these days. I haven't forgotten.
I think it was something like 150,000 miles per hour.
Something ridiculous like that, yes. And in the general direction that it was headed, chances are it wasn't going to hit anything until they got way the heck out there, maybe, and not even then, probably. And so, more than likely, that is currently the furthest man-made object from Earth. And still moving. So. And yes, I did. Division 1 is one of my science fiction series, and it's kind of my take on the urban legends of Area 51 and aliens and Men in Black and all that kind of stuff. And so I've got a definite sense of humor to it. And so more than likely the manhole cover is going to show up at some point. So that's where that thing went. Okay. Yeah.
Some civilization worshiping it on their planet.
No, I figure it's become a navigational hazard personally. Yeah, that's also true.
It's really, I mean, all you got to do is calculate the rotation of the Earth and the exact millisecond to push the button,
and what latitude it needs to be at. Pop that comment up there so people can see what we're talking about. Yeah, so Earth rotation, latitude, and distance of the target pretty much that's kind of exactly what I'm going to do.
And the front end of the ship bent up.
Fender bender. Nolan, it might have impacted something else, but chances are it was likely. Let me think. It was likely inclined to the plane of the ecliptic upward. So more than likely, we're talking Kuiper belt or Oort cloud, maybe, but nothing in between. Nothing between here and there. So.
And launched during the day, it means it took the long way to get there past the sun.
Yes. But wasn't gonna it was moving too fast for the sun to capture it even.
Well, give it a gravity assist.
Yeah. Of course, now that said, we might have had a hyperbolic trajectory, and it may now be heading down instead of up as it was originally. Exactly, because space is really big. So yeah, so it might have done. So, but yeah, I doubt it's going to impact anything short of the Oort cloud, because the Kuiper belt is pretty much ecliptic plane also, and it would have been moving out of the ecliptic plane, which is the plane of the solar system. For
Yeah.
those that don't speak spacies.
Mhm.
Um,
And the best way to describe it is if you're looking for planets in the sky, sort of follow the track of the moon.
yes. And
And
that will describe the plane of the ecliptic. And
Yeah.
that's where you'll find the planets. And that's where you'll find the asteroid belt, the main asteroid belt, and that's where you'll find the Kuiper belt.
And there's some saying that it probably melted in the atmosphere and came down as it's
It
moving
was
too fast.
Yeah, it would have been through the atmosphere before it had the chance to react to the temperature. So it would have been outside the atmosphere within a second or two.
And that's not enough to melt steel.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
It may have become more aerodynamic as it went up, but
I doubt it even did that. Um, the Chicxulub asteroid that extincted the dinosaurs,
yeah.
that was moving slower than that. And not only did it not even notice the atmosphere, it didn't notice the ocean. It didn't notice anything until it hit rock bottom. So, yeah. And this thing was traveling a lot faster than the asteroid was. I really don't get me started on space elevators, Nolan. That's
It's a great idea, but I don't see how it could work.
Well, people forget Kepler's laws of orbital motion. And space elevators don't obey Kepler's laws of orbital motion. And they are the fundamentals of orbital mechanics. You would need an adamantium unobtainium alloy to make a space elevator. And engineers are, oh no, it would be, you could do it. Well, when's the last time you did a calculation of the orbital mechanics involved? An engineer generally doesn't do orbital mechanics. I've had to do it, and yes, Dave, it's an engineering challenge that was proven to me impossible by the tethered satellite reflight snapping. If the tether can't do it, you're not going to get anything more massive being able to do it. You just don't have the material. We don't have the material science. We don't have the materials in existence. If you had something as strong as white dwarf material, yes, but that causes its own problems because it's too heavy to stand up on it under its own weight. No, it's not superluminal. That much it is not. It's not traveling faster than light, but it's traveling awfully damn fast. And yeah, somebody out there may get pissed off at us if it ever happens to encounter anything. But as you said earlier, space is really big, so it might just keep on going.
That would have been a great episode of Star Trek.
Oh, no shit. It's like they get all the way out there and they find this manhole cover.
Just drifting.
Just drifted, yeah. And it's radioactive still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Federation go, we don't know shit.
Oh.
And then it hits the Klingon Empire.
Yeah.
Is this yours?
Oh, wait. I got an even better one.
What?
A Borg cube. Wait a minute. They did what? And it did how much damage? No, let's go this way. That would have shut the Borg up in a hurry. That might even have shut Q up in a hurry. Well, guys, I hate to do it, but I need to go feed my cat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and click the end stream. We got a outro. Of course, I'll have to change it and update it for the next launch.
Yep.
Because I didn't have that video. I had that video all set up, ready to go, but I said, no, I ain't going to make that one. I'll do the tower landing. But with that, we're going to say good night, and I guess we'll see you on the next launch in possibly maybe 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
All right. So good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.